fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
everybody, and welcome back to another week in the LTA South. We are here to witness, I think, a banger slate of games, if I do say so. Last week, we had, some back and forth, a lot of goings on, but I don't know if we really learned anything, Rev, and I think today we are coming to class to learn a whole lot.
I mean, for sure, we're only seeing 1 week of best of ones, so I'm not sure if we're gonna learn a lot of stuff. We're gonna be starting to have a mental tier list in our heads and see which teams were fraudulent and which teams actually have showed already their true selves.
Yeah, at the first game, I think we have, Loud versus VKS. So we have an 0-2 that we were not expecting to be 0-2, going up against a 2-0 who I think there's some questions as to maybe if they deserve to be there. I think you had said something about that before we booted up the cameras.
Yeah, you're exposing like that, I think. Okay, so you see, at least for me, I have very high expectations of VKS because there's a lot of people playing in that org and actually working that org for whom I have a lot of respect in all my years of watching and casting over this game, and I've yet to feel satisfied with their performance. Now, they've won versus Fluxo, okay, then they actually beat the Red Canis, that's a little bit better, but you can have the argument of, hey, the Red Canis are really a very, very rookie-based team right now, and you can just punish them on the lack of experience, whereas VKS carries a lot of experience, only if you look at a Trimby and their coaching staff. So this is like playing rock, paper, scissors when the enemy only has the opportunity to pick paper. It's very easy to beat them. But I want them to look confident and beat other teams in a confident fashion. And until I see them do that more than once, because a broken clock can say the right time twice a day, I won't be satisfied. My expectation, my standards set for these teams are very high. So for now, yes, I did say that they might be the most fraudulent 2-0.
Well, they've got a lot to prove today, and they can really start it off. Sending Loud down to 0-3 would be a good way for them to start off their weekend. You mentioned Fluxo; they're up in our second game, and they're 0-2. So is Isuru's Astral, which we did not expect. And I mentioned I have to give some apologies, and one of them, some of them are coming, but one of them is actually to Fluxo, because I said, oh, it's going to be more of the same this split. But even though they're sitting down there tied for 6 with Loud and Isuru's, they showed some real spunk. And if things go their way, this is the craziest statement. If Fluxo continues to play with that same kind of fight they had last week, and Isuru's Astral does not screw their heads on, there's a good chance we see Fluxo take a game from Isuru's, which I think no one would have called going into this split, especially after their really poor performance in the first one.
Yeah, especially right now, I think this is the best time that they can strike with what I've been hearing happening with Isuru's. I don't know, there's an implosion there with the top lane situation. And once again, Isuru's is supposed to be a team that we should have high expectations of. So maybe that's a trend here in Brazil. Maybe if you stop expecting things from a team, they suddenly pop up. There's no more weight on the shoulders and they can play their own League of Legends. And if you do have, then they start collapsing. I'm looking at Loud, I'm looking at Isuru's, and on the other side, expectations were dropped a little bit from VKS. Now they start performing. I don't know. I'm just connecting some dots over here.
It's not actually unheard of. There's been some super teams, quite a few. The one that comes to mind for me is the Los Grandes, super team, a few splits ago that just didn't perform at all. You're right. When the heat starts to get turned up, a lot of times it feels like maybe the Brazilian League of Legends can't quite keep up. And you're right. The expectations were so high for Isuru's Estral because they won last split. They won domestically, and then they took a game off of one of the LTA North teams, and they were the only LTA South team
Liquid,
to show any fight. Yeah, I believe it was Team Liquid. And so that, two of the teams that are our top 4 are 0-2 right now.
Yeah.
And
It's-
well,
it's
the other two are 2-0, so.
It's of course very early. You know, sometimes you just don't hit the ground running. Maybe you haven't adjusted to the meta. Maybe something shifted. We're also playing a life patch, which might be hard for some of those teams, especially if the players and the coaching staff have been used to, hey, we have a couple of weeks to check out the meta, have a glance on the other side of the Atlantics. What are the LCK, LPL teams doing? What's happening in the LEC? What's going on in the LCS? And then we can adjust. We can cherry pick what actually feels good for us and adapt it to our playstyle. Now they have to do that on the fly. Now they have to just use solo queue data, ask their players, hey, what are we playing here? How can we use it on competitive? And sometimes these adaptations have a lot of growing pains. And of course, it's one of the first splits where it's happening. I think it's the first for LTA South. I think it was on LTA North last split. I'm not 100% sure here, but it's a very new thing that teams, a very new reality that teams have to deal with. So I'm still expecting a lot of growing pains there, even if the teams eventually adapt, find their footing, and can just brush off quote-unquote lesser teams.
Yeah, and it's not that like LTA South, maybe wasn't ready to go back to best of ones. Like we've had best of ones, at least in Brazil, like has kind of always been that way. But I feel like a lot of these teams came in, they prepped a lot for the Fearless draft in that first split, and maybe that's the way the meta favored certain teams because, there were, as much as some people want to try and discredit it, Fearless draft did work to an extent. We saw an increase in the number of unique champions played, and so some teams with deeper champion pools got to show that off a little bit across a short series. Whereas now, best of ones, you can't do a Fearless best of one. It's just a normal draft, and so teams can really hedge in on what they want to play. Maybe teams that have a stronger identity are able to kind of let that shine through, and therefore are finding more success.
I mean, there is a way to do Fearless best of one. You just have to carry the picks from the previous games. So that would be, honestly, that would be extremely spicy. But yeah, I can hear what you're saying. And especially teams that have less of an issue finding the fundamentals, maybe like their ceiling is way lower than other teams, but have less of an issue of transitioning from an even lane phase to the mid game, less of an issue of setting up some neutrals in the early game. That matters so much when it's best of ones and when you're just playing the first couple of regular split games until the rest of the teams actually do manage to integrate all of their new players, find their identity, find what works for them, and it can give you a couple of quick wins. So it still remains to be seen if Loud is actually washed right now and if VKS are the new kings of the league, but it's very, very early to actually state that without capping.
And speaking of draft strategy, we see it now at the bottom of the screen. A couple of the things, holding over the same priority. A lot of the prio picks, a lot of the prio bans remaining the same. Yone being gone, Gwen being gone, Vi coming out, Varus being banned. And we have seen VKS, I think they like that misfortune, and so they'll pick it up. And now a Renekton for Robo. And Robo's been the bright spot for Loud. So I think it makes sense to put him on a pick where he can really get up in Bull's face and just start to kind of push him around in lane, because he has looked really good even when the rest of Loud has maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, Robo, last week he was in actually team jail. He was the only one actually performing for Loud. And on the one hand, it feels nice to get him a pick with early game agency, with some lane prio, and official lane bully. At least it used to be a lane bully, but now a lot of other picks have actually picked up in how they play in the laning phase. But on the other hand, he can't really then be enabling Robo to carry you through the mid game and into the late game when his picks actually falls off very, very hard. Renekton in the late game, he's just some space creator. He can't really kill your marksmen or your carries. He can't really do more than flanking, stunning, and setting up for the rest of your team. So on the one hand, yes, he can carry you through the early game, but have the rest of your team picked up. Can Root and Dinons carry, especially when you have such a high priority on a pick like Vitalia, who can't really do stuff in the early game and will wait until the 2 and 3 item spike to be super, super useful.
And on the other side, you see giving Kissy the Azir. That's a very, mobile pick. You can do a lot with the Azir, setting up combos, playing for the team. But he also just does a lot of damage. And Kissy, I think, played phenomenally well. If you guys are playing the LTA Fantasy, if you're in that chat in the Discord, I know that Kissy got just a bajillion points in Fantasy last week and kind of earned them all. As we see the last set of bans come out, the Ezreal and the Kalista gone, really targeting down Root in this second phase of bans, and I think that makes sense. You talked about Tin Owns isn't going to be able to do much early game. Robo's going to fall off late game. They're going to need Root to really step up, and so they're hedging in on those picks. And on the other side, essentially some top lane bans. Poppy's a jungler, but those are top lane bans to make the matchup even worse for poor Bull.
Yeah, Bull, who actually did step up a lot in the last couple of games that I see him. I was expecting him to be demoted in kind of the weak side duty, the Cassantes, maybe the Maokais of the league, anything that will stay 30, 40 Cs behind, but later on in the game it will still be extremely useful just by design because it's very annoying, creates a lot of space, yada yada yada. But I see still a lot of trust in him. Like the Jax is a very nice matchup into their Necton and also into the Zinzao, but it's also a skill matchup. So if you have enough trust into Bull to go at least even with Robo, then I am very eager to see if he can actually translate that and be a menace on the sideline or find the necessary flanks to be extremely annoying into the Taliyah, into the Ashe if it's locking right now, and then you still allow the counter pick to go into Trimpy's hands so that they can actually influence the lane. Although I would very much like to see RL over here because if you manage to find a nice engage, it's just Jover.
And I think maybe Loud also anticipates the Rel coming out for VKS. And so they've locked in Alistair, who traditionally does very, very well into Rel. Not even acknowledging that going on my screen right now, that Janna is not real. But I do...
Can hurt you.
I know. The Ashe lock-in we've seen a lot more priority go towards the Ashe, at least in LTA South, as Braum comes out as the final pick. And that is a good wombo combo kind of draft. You can get the Fool Shuffle, get the Emperor's Divide, get the Glacial Fissure down, and then watch Morteus just destroy with that ultimate. That's ideally the goal, but we saw MF last week, despite the priority, wasn't able to quite get those ultimates off the way you might want. Speaking more as I was on the Ashe, actually becoming like a real damage dealer in the late game now, instead of just like a straight up utility pick.
I mean, yeah, she will deal a little bit more damage. I think she has more or less the same issues with the Misfortune, but she provides way more utility than a Misfortune, but she can't really be safe. She hasn't got the highest of ranges, and look at what she has to deal with, right? If she walks into an Azir, you're already into a shuffle range. She walks into a Braum, you will get walled off with the Unbreakable. Walking into a Sejuani or a Jax is just a crime, so it's not going to be the easiest game for a Nash. But on the other side, although I do like the Braum pick in isolation, I'm looking at the bot lane, it's fine, you're playing into a Nash, you can block up so much damage, you can make the Alistar's life insufferable because once you tag him with a Q, he can't really do anything. Rather than he's stuck there, he might pulverize you and then it's over, he's just ground beef. But then you're making Isamis' life so much harder because he's the sole engage of the team. Like the Jax isn't a very reliable engage, the Braum isn't a reliable engage, and there's so much pressure on Isamis' shoulders where that might actually crack him in this game.
Yeah, he has to be on point with those ults. Like Sejuani, you still get some value from the slow if you don't quite land the ultimate. But like ideally, if you can get like overwall, get the charge, get the passive or the passive stacks up for the E, and then get the passive stacks up for Braum, and then get your ultimate off. Like you can really lock down a single target, but it is just a single target. The rest of the team is going to have to follow up to take care of everyone else. And so that first initial engagement, right, a lot of that comes down to Disamus, and he's a good jungler, but it's definitely, there's a lot of skill matchups on the floor today, and I'm not sure if that's what you want to do against Loud, who, even if they're 0-2, I still feel like they're the hands check team, right? Like, they're here to look at you and tell you, we're gonna beat you just 1-for-1 because we are more skilled than you are.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Especially when you want to prove yourself. If you get yourself in a position to play, especially versus a hand check team, and you win, and it's kind of GG, game over for the rest of the league. Your mental is up through the roof. Your stocks are so high, and suddenly the rest of the league looks at you frightened. You feel yourself very nicely, and then the coach's job is done. But on the other hand, if you lose here, it's a very nice ego check for the players, because you're starting to, maybe you're feeling yourself a little bit too much. You play in versus a team that can check you in just the rawest of mechanics. You get checked, then the coach can say, hey guys, no, you start listening to me right now, because you had the opportunity to prove that you don't suck, and here, you still suck.
Yeah, if you do go for the, like, we're gonna outskill the outskill team, we are just going to beat them off of raw talent, raw merit, and it doesn't work out, I think CL will definitely rein them in. But luckily for VKS, I think even if they don't perfectly hand check them, they are the better macro team, and that there's something to be said for just, if they can not necessarily weather the storm, because you don't want to go late. I can't get out of my head the Loud of Split past, where they just wait until 40 minutes have passed and everyone's wins. True, get good. Thank you for that, Rose.
No lies detected.
Well, I feel like this should be in VKS's favor, but it's just something about them playing Loud makes me nervous.
I mean, I think almost everyone playing versus Loud should be nervous, and even Loud playing versus anyone else should be nervous after their 0-2 start, because they did look very shaky. They looked unrecognizable. I've never followed the CBLOL too closely, but this is one of the teams which I've known the best, because they've been the best in CBLOL for so long, or at least one of the best. They've gone to internationals, they made themselves known. Robo was there, T-Nouns was there, Redbirds was there as well, and these players looking so shaky actually makes you feel very weird about in what state this league is, because are they looking shaky because suddenly the whole league has fallen off and now they're just washed, or is there just a new age coming through and get with the times old guy? I can't place my finger over which is the true case right now.
I think if you're an LTA South fan, the way I think we all are, you really want to hope it's that second one, because if it's the league is evolving, the young guys are just coming in with loads of talent. That feels how it is. If you watched these young guys, Kissy coming in for this split, Morteas coming in, they have looked fantastic. You know, Fu, oh my goodness, what can we say about Fu, who is just lighting it up, despite, you know, the challenges he's kind of facing, as has to burn the flash there. Trimby kind of wildly out of position, trying to just secure that farm, takes one too many tower shots, flashes, and then Redbird punts him over the wall. Not what you may necessarily want to see. That's going to make life a little difficult in the coming levels. But yeah, you pointed it out. Old guys, Lau's average age is something like 26. Like, they're an old team for esports, and ideally we're seeing them struggle because the young guys in the league are just that good.
Yeah, I mean, don't talk to me about 26 being old. I am now a boomer in esports age. I try to come to terms with it. But yeah, I mean, we are still in an industry where Robo has to flash, where it's been dominating by young people for so long, and this has been the discussion for the last couple of years of maybe that shouldn't be the case. Like Faker, 28, 29 years old, still shows himself to be the GOAT time and time again. Maybe he struggles locally, but internationally he has proven himself to be the best of the best. People still look at Caps, people still look at Yankos, people still look at even Doublelift coming back from retirement once again and still proving that he can play at least in the second tier of the North American League of Legends and Smurf on kids. So I think that age might not be the issue here, but if the new kids come and they are stronger than ever, I think that's always the welcome side.
As we're seeing the rift kind of settle in, neither team really finding an advantage. We'll see the classic trade of those first objectives. Bull looking around, gets the vision down, and we're just gonna handshake as we usually do. One side takes 3 grubs, the other side takes a dragon, and you know, we just move on from there. No harm, no foul. No one has to get hurt.
I mean, yeah, you are weak-sided. Jax a little bit here. You're playing with the bot lane strong side. Of course, the Misfortune really enables you to do that. But the brain advantage, very nice poke with that double ups. If you don't get Dove here, you should be fine, because if Ball loses this whole wave, he is kind of ruined without a teleport.
Yeah, and now we see Bull getting ready to get dived. He pops the counter-strike, gets a stun down. He's just going to have to give these plates, and we see the plate gold get split across Tinones, Robo, and Shinny. As they're getting set up for the dive, here they go in. Bull forced the flash. As Trimby tries to come forward, also gets caught on the rocks. And everyone from Loud is just going to back off. They know when they've overstayed their welcome. And they'll just take the plate gold. They'll take the flash, and they'll call that a win.
I mean, yeah, it for sure was a win over there, especially considering if you look the rest of the map. Kissy started to move up. He was delayed by something in his own jungle. I don't know, maybe he found the red light. Izami the same. Trimby had to abandon pressuring the bot lane and going into the top side. So you didn't really play the cross map. You didn't really answer on time. And Loud came out on top from this play because you're equalizing the flash situation at the top. Robo will have a 2.5 minute timer where he will have his flash and Ball will not. So that's a very nice timer to play again with, and maybe set up another dive in the top lane. And also, there was nothing that Disami did. He didn't invade the enemy jungle. You didn't threaten your bottom lane and made them lose CS or lose a couple of summoners. So it's a huge net positive for the side of Loud.
And you know, we talked about the more, you know, macro-oriented style games versus the kind of what we know the Southern region for, what we know Brazilian League of Legends for, which is like we're just gonna fist fight you at all stages. And that has not been the case so far. We're 8.5 minutes in. No one has died. And we said that last week, and then some of the games just exploded. It felt like the first half was a nice, quiet warm-up, and then we hit 20 minutes, and it's like, all right, the game has begun. Where do you think we're going to get our first real action? Because not only has there been no deaths, there's really been like 1-2 near misses, and beyond that, there hasn't really been any fighting whatsoever.
I mean, it's me casting VKS. There's not going to be any real action. Last time, in order for them to win, Kissy had to engage with a Nari ultimate when they had a Vi. So I feel like they are still testing the waters, and what Vivo Key Stars do is they're waiting for the opponents to make the first mistake, right? They are really like capitalizing on enemy mistakes instead of creating those openings themselves. And if Loud just don't give it to them, and they show real nice restraint.
Oh,
this
our
time around
has weighed in. Thank you, Rose. We're gonna get action at the first or the second Grubs fight. That's probably true. I mean, there's some... and the flash out of the way from a root to dodge the Desamus ult coming in. A very angry woman on top of a very angry boar. That would have been a bad day for Miss Queen of the Freljord over there. And where we are seeing one thing really happen where this game is shaking out is this top side. Look at the gold advantage. It's not massive, but 500... isn't nothing to cough at. About a 20 CS advantage. Robo, as we expected, kind of just bullying in the top side, and still not able to have anything happen. As soon as one side shifts up, the other does, and we're just lying in wait, like you said, waiting for that mistake.
Yeah, you can't really do anything right now. Maybe Kissy's in trouble because he gets shuffled in.
He does, but Tinone's in trouble as well. Both of them going to burn their flash. Kissy gets out of the way of the threaded volley, is trying to return fire with his loyal soldiers, and neither of them going to ultimately get a kill. Now we got a scuffle in the mid lane. Shinny getting some stacks from Trimby's passive as now Redbird will go in, gets knocked up for 2. A stun coming in from Bull, trying to hold off the front line of Loud as Shinny is so low, but they cannot confirm the kill, and finally the first blood comes over onto Bull. A second kill picked up in this fight. This time it's going to be Morteus who picks one up, but he immediately falls to Robo, and no one is going to try and pursue because they're just so low. Trimby has no health, Samus is less than half, but Shinny is low as well. If they can get onto him, there is still a chance they can deny these grubs. One already dead. Here comes Samus. This fight is not over yet. Here he goes, going in, and the shuffle right back out. Trimby is so low, and Root actually not gonna. Root will pick up that kill. My apologies. And again, it looks like Loud had that fight, and all of a sudden it shifted the other way, and we come out 3-3, no kills for the entire game, and then just insanity breaks out at the second grubs fight, like producer Rose said.
Yeah, our producer knows more than we do, and let's say this again because I really like the decision from Loud over here. They have seen that Disami used his ultimate, they've seen both items, he's just with a Shin, he has no actual stats to fight with, and they're starting the fight. Unfortunately, they start with Trimby, but fortunately for them, look at Denounce, he does so much job in not allowing Mortius to ever ult in that narrow space. If that ultimate went the other way around, where Trimby was still very healthy in creating space for him, Loud would have been in so much trouble. And here, they wanna play for the grabs, but they also don't have enough HP. And Kissy has come back with a teleport, has his ultimate. Izami has his ultimate back once again, and so you can't really fight. The best play would be to just take one grab and turn tail, but they wanted to bite for more, and they got beaten back.
And now 5 grubs for Loud. That does at least, with, I believe it is now 4 or higher, you do get the Void Mites that will spawn and assist you in taking those towers. So they do get something out of it. They do not get that that second objective secured for the feat, but they do take first blood, which has more implications than just the gold nowadays. It's got the feat going for it. You could get those upgraded boots, but it's not the end all be all. And we're kind of back to waiting, unless we're not Trimby running forward on the Redbird, but not gonna have the chance to proc that passive. No one else nearby. And so, okay, we are back to waiting. I just want to confirm, LTA South, it's okay. Nope. It's as if they're listening.
So I think that the moment you say that the game's gonna be boring, we're gonna see action already. 2 ultimates used there, getting Roots cleanse away. So there's gonna be a timer once again. But what are we playing for? And the answer is the next Drake.
Here comes the ultimate, another CC onto Trimby. He is just stuck there, stunned. He cannot move. He finally gets away. Is he gonna burn to death? No. But man, he has no health, and that could be impactful. He's gonna be delayed. If Loud can find a fight while he's gone, he might be able to get something out of that. Otherwise, you've just blown that Ash arrow, which is not the longest cooldown, but definitely an impactful ultimate to not have up for the upcoming Drake fight.
Not only the Crystal Arrow, but you've also blown the Alistair ultimate as well, and that's a long cooldown early on in the game, and also, I think, the most impactful for them, because that's the only thing that allows an Alistair to be a frontline tank, to be there for the rest of his team and create that space, have a second rotation of his cooldowns going off. But of course, they also created a lot of time for Tinounce to get the first Hour Blood, and I think with that, they also secure the Foot of Strength, and their boots are upgraded right now.
Someone did point out, and I saw they are right, I forgot that the Feats of Strength was first to 3 kills, not just the first blood. They did change that in the first season. But now Loud has a second Feat of Strength as they have picked up the first tower in the top side, but 2 dragons going over to VKS. And now we're going to see an Ocean Drake pop up, which can be really impactful. You talked about getting that second rotation of skills for the Alistair. because of the ultimate, being able to stay in those fights longer. If anything's going to help you stay in fights longer, that Ocean Drake is a lot of health, and there's a lot of beefcakes between these two teams.
Yeah, especially I think looking at the Loud lineup, they will have a lot of effective HP, a lot of ways to proc that Ocean Drake, but in order for them to actually have access to it, they're gonna need at least 20 minutes of time, right? They need to secure 4 Drakes for themselves. 1 Drake or 2 in isolation will not give you that sweet soul active where you get so much healing back when you deal damage to the enemy team. So for now, they don't benefit from it at all, but they want to benefit from a Rift Herald where VKS are in the area, they have their cooldowns up, they have dealt with mid lane, and are walking into the river.
They find the ultimate onto Trim. He gets knocked up, but he goes in, gets a 3-man knockup, and now Shinny is into the backline going after Morteus. That's the big one to get out of the fight, but he flashes away, is able to take down Shinny in return. Here comes Bull trying to get a stun down. Everyone on Loud is on the back foot trying to get away, not give over more kills, and now Redbert falls. That's a clean 2-0 for VKS, and a really well-timed fight for them. Pulls Loud off of the Rift Herald, and now they can secure it themselves.
Yeah, that Jax did use that bold flash to get that second kill as well onto Redbird. Very nice fight from the VKS side. They played into the choke point, they knew they had the summoners up, and they used everything in their advantage. Now Jax getting back in the game, Triforce completed, still lagging close to 2k behind, but you see how impactful he is in all those skirmishes when 3 out of 5 enemy team members are auto-attack based champions.
Now they've got 2 in this bot side. They're going to get the turret. Bull knows he has to give it. Now they're going to get greedy. That's more gold into the pockets of Robo as you see that lead increase. And now Tinone's trying to force something to happen here. But Bull's going to go back in, and Tinone's, you're in danger. Watch out. The knockup cannot save you. Desamas takes him down. And now Robo's on the back foot. He goes down. Bull gets his revenge for that early game. And now Loud on the run again. Redbird's going to walk into VKS's lines and force them to target him and buy his teammates some time. But Kissy gets a tower in the top lane. Things keep coming up VKS. I'm not sure I like the Morteus ult, though. I think that was maybe unnecessary.
I mean, I think you used it because there's nothing else to fight in the next couple of minutes, right? There's no Drake, there's no Herald, there's no Atakan, and you want the gold. You are buying a very expensive item. The Infinity Edge is almost completed, and he'd be more than happy to have it in the next skirmish. So we're seeing the previous fight. Once again, Shinny creates so much space, but Robo is so late to the fight, and Redbird, the moment his ultimate expires, he's no longer frontline champion. You are a support, you have so much crowd control, but effectively, because you don't have the income to buy all those stats, you can't frontline without the Unbreakable Wheel.
Yeah, and speaking of crowds, the crowd in Brazil, so excited all the time. I love, that is probably one of my absolute favorite things about watching this region is when it cuts to the crowd and those guys they're here for it. It's packed every week and every fan is just locked in. We might see some more fighting. Robo gonna try and get away. Desamas procs the Heartsteel on him, which we did not call out. We're trying to finally force skirmishes across the map, and Loud gonna force a fight here. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. A bounce house in the mid lane, and no one can move. That's 2 down, but Robo and a tower traded out in the bot side. VKS, not for nothing, going to actually continue their push here. They know all of Loud is in the mid lane, and they've got a Rift Herald.
I mean, economically speaking, that second tier tower is so important, especially with Kissy getting half of that gold. But mid lane tier 1 opens up the map so much, and I loved Loud pincer movement because you're playing from the one side, Shinny also comes, and then here comes Tinone's riding on that wall, making sure that you're in a world of pain. Morpheus had what I always wanted for my birthday, but didn't look as fun for him.
Yeah, not the bounce house you want to be in. We'll get a replay of that. And oh my goodness. It looked like it started off well for VKS, and then came the cavalry.
Yeah, you can't really commit because Redbird still has access to that ultimate, plus the Solari, Shinny coming in from so long away with that whatever the W spells come when becomes lightning or something. And the Renekton is also pinned to the wall, I see, becomes Crocs. But I think that Vivo Kid Stars still feel very, very happy because they have the soul point right now while also getting the Herald before. They have a slight gold lead, and yes, their side laner is still in a dire spot, lagging 1500 gold from Robo. But Robo, he won't get any stronger than that, and the moment Bo managed to complete his second item, he should start becoming a real menace.
And that gold lead's pretty much equalized as you see through the middle of the map. The jungle, mid laner, and bot laner all having 1,000 gold lead over their counterpart for VKS. Very impactful when you've got just the amount of damage that Kissy and Morteus can bring to the table right now cannot be matched. I talked about Ashe no longer just being a utility threat, but that's when she's got like 3 or 4 items. Right now, she is just a slow bot at best, and there's really no one else to back up that damage once Robo is down.
Not really a slow bot as well. Like, look at where's the damage going for the LDR second, which is 35 AD. You don't really get to deal damage onto Mortius. Even on Disami, I think you don't really get to deal any damage, especially if you compare it to the powerhouses of flat AD or an ultimate.
Here comes the ultimate comes out, but immediately Redbird going to just back off, run away. There's no fight to be had. And I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead and continue. I thought that was going to be something, and it wasn't.
And no worries. Redbird was in the correct place and correct time, so he's able to tank it. Doesn't even spend the ultimate. Very nice play from him. But yeah, especially if you compare those two items with the powerhouses of flat AD that are Bloodthirster Infinity Age, where yeah, you only carry 25% critical versus the 50% critical that Rue has. But let's not forget that critical doesn't work the same way with Ashe. You don't really get more damage, you just get more slows.
Exactly. And you're going to have to contend with that, where you don't have your ADC really to pump in damage, but Desamus has that a Heartsteel, which is, I don't think that's the most common item on a lot of tanks anymore. It used to be like everyone was building Heartsteel for everything, but you know, it's not always easy to get value out of, but it just means he's harder and harder to kill. And if you don't have that flat damage coming out, some sort of ability to shred tanks, which at the moment Loud doesn't, I don't see how they knock him off the board unless they really concentrate on him. And that opens up Kissy to just rend their team asunder. Both teams kind of setting up in the mid lane now.
T-Nouns might have that opportunity. He already has the Leander Stormment completed. He might go instantly into a Void Staff just to be able to shred through all that HP and a very little experience that, little magic resistance that Izami carries right now. So you're almost going to be dealing true damage, but there's an engage.
Now we're seeing a fight. Desamus caught in the river, but as you can see, he's so tanky, they cannot get him. But Kissy gets knocked up, has to get away, uses his soldiers to escape, but Tinone's not letting it go. Here he comes, and that's a shutdown for Tinone's. That might be just what Loud needs to get back in this game.
Yeah, they were just waiting for something to come back up, and I'm not sure what. Disami using his ultimate, the rest of our team completely disconnected, thinking, hey, we can engage now. No, we can't engage now. And that spelled disaster for VKS, whereas on the other side, Loud, they spent so much. Redbirds flash all of those ultimates, but they got what they came here for. Kissy's flash and Kissy's life.
Yeah. And now that just means everyone's going to go ahead and reset. Loud got the gold they wanted. As we'll get into the replay, you pointed out here, they did spend a lot of ultimates, and most of it was getting onto Desamus, but the second Kissy steps up, boom, everyone goes onto him.
Yeah, and he needs to flash away. He tries to skedaddle with that very nice read, but he knows that he can reach. He gets all of his spells. He gets the shutdown, 600 crisp gold in his pocket. Already the Blinding Gel completed. And now he's online. Next time they catch this armies like that, it's not going to be a quarter of his HP. It's going to be half. And if that's going to be in 5 or 10 minutes, it's going to be 3/4 of his HP. And then he's going to be in kill range.
And that's going to be a real problem because, like I said, VKS is kind of dependent And you actually pointed out right at the beginning of the game, VKS is very dependent on Desamas to be that consistent engaged presence. If Trimby doesn't have ult, if Bull doesn't have a flank, they really need Desamas. And if he gets chunked out for half his health, he can no longer frontline and be that consistent engage for them.
Let's see if he can find that angle now. They're playing for the soul. They have the upper hand. They don't need to fight. They could play for the Atakan or to pressure the top side in general, but they want to collect the soul right here, right now. And on the other hand, Robo is looking for the flank. He tries to deal with the bot wave, and Bull goes to answer.
Yeah, VKS not going to be caught out by unawares by a flank here. Sending Bull to answer as a huge shove comes in. Still able to secure the dragon. Now the fight is on for real. Desamas picks up a kill, and he's going forward. Trimby trying to lock down route, and Bull is going on to Robo, and look at this. Has to burn the flash, has to burn the ultimate. Cannot get away from this angry Jax. We talked about a skill matchup, and Bull played the weak side very skillfully, lasting out until you said Robo fell off a cliff, and this might be a Baron for VKS.
I mean, it should be the Baron. Shin is dead for 20 more seconds, needs half a minute to get to the area as well. The Baron is dropping. You have everyone and everything, and even Bull can teleport to the play. And look what else is in the area. You could just go for the Atakan, but they decide against. They want to use their tempo wisely, and look at that fight. When there's no other front line or the side of Loud, Mortus can just use his ultimate freely, deal so much damage, they get the Drake, and then there's a big chase while Robo is just suffering in isolation.
Yeah, and it's not even to Loud's discredit there. They had some good ideas, they got some good CC down onto VKS, but VKS just have such an advantage at this point. 2k gold is the lead from Desamas versus Shinny, and so Shinny goes in to try to secure the dragon, but even with Tinone's really indexing into his ability to kill tanks, they cannot take down Desamas, and through all that CC, Desamas is able to just smite the dragon and continue the fight. And it's looking a little dire here for Loud. I have seen them just pull things from crazier places, but they need to start ASAP.
Yeah, let's see, because it just feels more and more dire, playing into that soul. Now Desamas with only 100 stacks in that heart still, but even 100 stacks feel very hard to go through if you're playing into an Ocean Soul. Look, the damage now will not be landing. If he hits you once with the whip, he's gonna be healing up in no time, getting that magic resistance up as well. And how do you fight Redbird? He can combo once, but if everyone else isn't on the same page,
finally here comes the ultimate. VKS is going in. They want to try and make a statement to win this game here and now. Tinones is on the flank, but Desamas is still fighting forward, getting down those E-procs, trying to get those stuns off. Isn't able to find anyone, but now VKS think they've pushed their advantage in the mid lane, and it looks like they're going to go for Otacon now.
Yeah, they just want to use the last couple of seconds of the Baron instead of pushing for one more wave where the enemy team is already charging in. They go and select and collect, sorry, the Atakan is voracious, so it's going to be giving you the opportunity to dive recklessly and maybe open up an inhibitor or two just with that buff.
Yeah, the pseudo Guardian Angel, the false death that allows you to just run in. You're only giving over 200 gold if it doesn't work, and you're coming right back, so you really don't lose any tempo on the map. Really powerful buff that VKS just secured for themselves. And again, little by little, they are bleeding out the side of Loud, who's now down 5k overall. And this is what we talked about, is that even if they're not just one-for-one hand checking them, they are the better macro team, and that's, I think, been the big advantage, is they've just been better on the map.
Okay, so now I think we have like a minute and a half until VKS set up mid and bot wave for them to start sieging inhibitor towers again. So I have a proposition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know how there's been names going around for the void grabs like Eden and Eddie?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need to do the same for Atakan.
Otacon, he needs a nickname. As maybe they're not going to give you time. You said maybe we have a minute, but there is a lot of CC down on the Redbird. As now the ultimate will come out. Another knockup, and Tinones is gone. It didn't even get a chance to fight back. No one on the side of VKS has gone down. They're going to go get that bot wave, which Morteus has been dutifully pushing down. They're going for this inner turret now. Probably going to grab the inhib as well. And Loud just don't have the capability to respond. They're down their mage. That's their big damage source. They have no way through to Samus's massive health pool right now.
Yeah, that fight was 4v5, by the way. Morteus wasn't there, he was dealing with waves, so now you can just dive the Nexus Towers if you want to. Whoa, coming through the mid lane as well, bringing one more wave, bringing one more pressure point, and Trimby tanking the arrow.
There, out comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Can't find Morteus or Kissy, which would have been the priority targets, and now they're slowly sieging in. Bull is going to take that next tower. They're going to fall back onto the inhibitor, and VKS have their choice here. They can do whatever they want on the map. They can siege that top tower, get the triple inhibitor. They can leave and just use their tempo to do whatever. Loud has no response.
How are you responding right now? They're waiting for this Amis ultimate. Look at that cooldown timer. It's so low now.
Kissy uses the stopwatch. Here comes another stun onto Redbird. He's forced to fall back, like you said, with no ultimate. He is not a tanky lad. A tower about to go down. One more hit. Samus will run in and get it. And here comes Robo. Finally gets a kill. But again, they have the Otacon, so they're not even dead. And the fight is still going their way. VKS cannot be stopped.
And there's a wave, and I think that's more than enough for them to take over the game. VKS is the first team to start 3-0 in LTA Split 2.
Yeah, and a just masterfully played game from them. There was a few small mistakes, but overall, no real chance, no big throw that would allow Loud to come back in. And that's how you have to play a team like Loud that will capitalize on your mistakes, that will punish you for stepping out of bounds. They are going to make sure that they just don't make those big mistakes. VKS just didn't give Loud an into the game. They really controlled it from start to finish.
Yeah, and they did actually try and play fist to fist. Were some moments where you got challenged mechanically and they answered. There were moments where you just out macroed the enemy team, and more importantly, there were moments where they just pulled the trigger, and that's what I wanted to see from them. Today I am very satisfied with VKS, and I'd like to formally at least half rescind my statement of their fraudulent 2-0. I think they at least half deserve the 3-0.
They looked like the team we expected them to look like. Confident, playing well, and they came out and just controlled the whole narrative. There was no chance for Loud to really find any footing, find any pacing, and for Loud, the struggles continue, dropping to 0-3. We saw some bright spots, but again, it doesn't feel like the team is meshing quite like we would expect, because most of the key pieces, the 3 lane carries, are returning players. Redbird has played with Loud before, and so you would think they would be, a put together team, but it's just not translating.
Yeah, there's definitely something missing. They have to go back to the puzzle box and look through all the pieces and try and find it. And they really don't have a lot of time, right? We're really close to the half point of the regular season. You have one game and one more week to play through. So if they don't start gaining the momentum right now, I wouldn't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
Oh no, as it does mean we have to look forward to the next game, but first we're going to throw it to a short break. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be back, and hopefully we'll have an even more exciting one for you coming up. Welcome back, everyone. I promised you a good game, but it's going to be for vastly different reasons than you might expect. We're looking at what we call a tale of two teams. Asurus Estral, once a proud LTA South domestic champion, took a game off of Team Liquid, looked so good, looked like they were going to be just the super team to beat, couldn't be stopped, versus Fluxu W7M, 0-7 in Spring Split. Finished in the bottom, flamed out, no one gave them a chance. But where are they now? They're both 0-2, and we get to see which one's gonna go 0-3, baby. I mean, yeah, take it, because I don't know.
if you told me last clip that one of those teams will follow Loud into the standings and that they're both gonna be in the bottom, I'd laugh at your face. But right now, I don't know what to expect, because on the one hand, Luxo, okay, sure, the bar is so low, but there they are sometimes playing limbo with the devil, but this time no, because the bar is low, but they have raised the stakes a little bit higher. If you compare that to, I don't know, what you expect from Leviathan, or what you expect from VKS, then yeah, they would be failing, but they're still developing. So you have to look it through a different lens. On the other hand, Asurus Estral, what's going on, my dudes over there? Because if only you look at them on paper, they should be such a strong team. Snacker, Ackerman, Jose Diodo, Wordle was in the top lane. I've seen some people call him very washed, but he's not gonna be playing. We saw Summit in the previous game. He was shown waiting in the backstage for his turn to play the game, and I'm not sure what can he bring that World couldn't, and if they can change everything so quickly that suddenly you're back to being the first or one of the best teams, at least in the region. Because how do you end up from first to last in 2 weeks?
Yeah, you expect, okay, it's the first week. Sometimes things happen, and it doesn't look good. You came out flat. We're gonna recover. We're gonna regroup. Clearly, IE, they looked inside. They looked internally, and they said, "No, this isn't. There's something fundamentally wrong, and we need to change it." And their decision was Bertle, because that graphic right there is, as of like 2 days ago, out of date, because they have brought Summit out of retirement, and he will be playing for Asurus Estral in the top lane today. And like you said, giving Fluxu W7M some credit, even though they're 0-2, they looked relatively good last week. We saw, thank you for the quick update. There we are, an updated Asurus Estral lineup, and there is Summit up in the top lane, coming out of retirement, LCS Pro, played in China with Fun Plus Phoenix for a time. This is someone who will win you lanes, but he was an LCS MVP at one point. Can he win you games? That remains to be seen.
I mean, he an LCK Pro as well. Like, he played in Sandbox, he played in Africa Freak, so he has a full career. And he used to be known as one of the best laning top laners, at least in isolation. He was brought to North America just to teach them of, let's not play the NAJs, the Nifira. Here's how to play those carry champions in the top lane. But he was never able to transition that well into the mid game or the team fights, and was never then considered one of the greatest. I mean, maybe except 2022 when he was MVP and first team All-Pro. Now he's coming back from retirement, instantly locking the B1 Rumble, and it's one of two things. Okay, either you had time to play 10 solo queues and only played Rumble in 8 of them, or you have copious amounts of trust in him. He's gonna be able to smash anyone with a Rumble.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk. We spent so much time talking about Asurus Estral before we got into the draft that we kind of neglected. Beyond, like, oh, they looked good, Fluxu W7M, they're a strong team. If you look at certain aspects of them, Fu is fantastic, and there's a little bit more gelling they need to do. There is something they could genuinely pull this off. I would not have predicted it. If you told me Fluke's W7M was going to be 0-2, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But if you told me they had a chance to make IE 0-3 and that there's a real chance they win it, you're nuts. And as we see the draft come out, you're right. There's got to be a lot of trust in Summit to just B1 the Rumble, open up that counter pick for Hidan, who can just really get whatever he wants in this rotation. We are seeing, though, they're drafting top to bottom, and I do like the Vi Ahri. Miryu putting, especially the new Ahri build, is a little bit tankier than it has been in the past, just so really, really supporting. And I think that'll putting Jose Diodo on something like that Vi that gives him a lot of agency about when to pick and start fights is good for such an experienced player.
Please, not the Aurora. That's the best Galio game. I'm in pain. This is
so
the best Galio game you could ever ask for. Double AP, slow burn damage. They want to dive into you. I know that LTA South isn't very fond of Galio. I looked through the stats. 0 Galio games in one of the most Galio dominating betas. Come on, dude.
Listen, not everybody can be Faker at Worlds where he just decided he's going to solo carry an entire game as Galio. We do see that the handshake, because when you saw the Yone on Red 1 on that first rotation from them, it can be a flex pick. We've seen it in mid and top, and I think Fu can pilot most of the meta mid lane champions. But the Aurora, I expect to be going... Actually, the Aurora could be top. That's still a flex pick, technically. I expect it to be mid with Fu to just kind of handshake with the Ahri and see who out-trades the other. But technically, you could play it into Rumble. Like, it's not an unwinnable matchup.
No, I think that the Aurora is going to be going there straight to the top lane. Yone is kind of fine into the Ahri, especially with the Ahri not transitioning into a slow burner build. So I imagine Yone used to lose the first like 3-4 levels, then he sustained, suddenly pops up, especially if he plays with something like the fleet footwork. He's fine into the lane, Orange Shield, etc. And now on the 2-item spike, you should be stronger, even if the Ahri spikes once again on the 3-item spikes. Into the Rumble, not so much. You are still struggling as a melee into a melee champion, because the Rumble is such a fake melee champion. And Aurora is fine into it. I think she was first picked up in the top lane as an indirect counter of the Rumble.
And that's why you're here to correct me and know more, because the top lane meta is a mystery to me. I can look at the champions, I can tell you what's played and who's picking what, and you know what items are being. I don't know why. Top laners are an alien species as far as I'm concerned. I am here for the Poppy pickup. I'm a huge Poppy fan, and lots of dashes to shut down. I mean, Poppy can press one button and shut down Snaker's ultimate. Ackerman's going to struggle to dive in. Miryu's going to struggle to escape. Lots of utility for this support Poppy here.
Were you right? They're not swapping.
I paused for a second. They're not swapping. And you know, guys, I correct myself. Sorry, Rev. I'm a genius. I just knew.
Yeah, you are. I am just a rumbling idiot. I am the village's fool, and I have gesture privilege. What I say do not matter. Okay, no, I am actually perplexed, because I did expect Aurora to go into the Rumble. She used to be one of those picks that you play it in the Rumble, you don't really lose lane, and then suddenly in the 1-item you become a little bit more useful. It kind of stopped when that ultimate got slightly changed, but still, it's pretty fine lane matchup. And on the other hand, I think that Yone is gonna be struggling in those early levels.
I agree with you. That's why I said, like, the Rumble matchup isn't terribly unplayable even with the ultimate change. Like, I'd still say it's generally like Aurora's going to be fine in that lane, and you brought up a lot of good points about how Yone just kind of struggles with the like you said, melee champion, but the flame spitter and the electric harpoons, you know, going to make it a lot difficult for Yone to kind of move around and get the type of play he wants in that top side. But we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. Maybe it's just a champ pool thing. And you have to wonder, is that Fu doesn't play Yone? That doesn't track. I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure I have seen him play Yone and it looked good. So is it that, does Hidan not want the Aurora? Which you have to then ask some questions there, or maybe they just like that comp better. They're more confident with someone like Fu picking up that Aurora and just being able to do a lot of burst damage really quickly. Whatever the case is, it's gonna have to play itself out on the Rift as we are getting started now. Both teams making their way to their respective spots.
Wait, we've been bamboozled once again.
No! Okay,
Come on.
no, this makes much more sense. They did not swap on the champ select screen. At least it didn't look like, but that graphic was in fact a lie. Okay, now we can stop trying to justify what would have been a very silly decision.
I mean, this has been one hell of a ride, right? Like, my emotions have gone like, okay, I know what's going on, to what is League of Legends, to now, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
thanks, LTA South. I needed to feel alive.
We've got a good roller coaster of emotions as you know what, I'll say it. I'm hoping this game is a roller coaster of emotions because I have pitched this exciting, I think someone in chat called it the battle for the basement. I think that was Lunar Day. And that's such a good way of putting it.
True.
And I said, oh man, it's gonna be so cool. Like Fluxu really has a chance, but maybe Summit comes in, fixes the problems, and this is a stomp. This is a genuine we know nothing game. You talked about Jester Plivage. We are clowns on the internet presenting to you what should be just a fiesta, hopefully.
Ooh, Marvin might be in trouble here. A lot of
Snaker
damage.
already with the flash, the ignite comes out. Now Geek's gonna try and go the other way. I think both ADCs are gonna survive at very low health. And if you're IE, I mean, you'll take that. You traded flash for flash and ignite for heal, but Snaker comes out with more health and is going to be able to stick in lane a little longer. And look at that CS advantage, already up 10 CS.
Yeah, that's why he flashed in, just to burn more HP from Marvin, burning the summoners, making sure that he's gonna feel less and less safe while going for those last hits, especially with Ackerman. Really get to start usually in all those matchups. As a Terracan, you start with a Gleaming Quill, you just trade a little bit of HP because, hey, if you deal damage to the enemy and heal yourself and your teammate, you're always going to be winning out, right? But no, instantly the Grand Entrance going all lane, and now the wave slightly pushing into IE side of the lane, and in a wave and a half's time, it's going to be in a very, very awkward state for Marvin, especially considering that Snaker, he has picked up those biscuits, and that means that he's going to be getting more and more effective HP.
Yeah, that early game trade really favoring them. I think also because of the support picks. Poppy is very good at shutting down that dash, yes, but that steadfast presence is a much longer cooldown than the battle dance. And Ackerman is going to be able to kind of go in and get out on repeat. That is the advantage of Rakan. He doesn't have to really commit to his engages. You see some trades coming out, like you said, favoring the Aurora in the top side. And both teams just kind of trading back and forth, prodding to see if they can find any weak points in the armor. Nothing doing so far.
Now look what Gangs is. He is trading the top side, but Summit under his turret in kind of a safe space because there's no way to easily kind of make sure that he stands in place. You have to flash on him, you have to wait that Summit will not answer with his own flash, but simultaneously, I think Jose Deodo, even on Vision, he was in a much more threatening space because Marvin and Giggs have to push up in order to shove this lane. Otherwise, they're going to be in a very, very awkward position for way too long. Just pull the trigger, they go in, and now they can reset safely.
See, they just have to push in that wave. I think it was really smart from Ganks to try and pull that wave on the top side to let that crash so that Hidan could do the same, as you'll see him go back to base now. And every little bit of gold advantage that Aurora can pick up, I think, is very important, because if Aurora beats Summit to one item, that burst damage comes online very early. And it can be pretty potentially deadly for a Rumble to deal with. Rumble's not really a tanky champion. He does a lot of damage, but sticking around, not necessarily his forte.
I mean, yeah, especially considering that the Aurora build has, actually shuffled from meta to meta. Now she does build the nuclear bomb build, the Luden's companion into the Shadow Flame and whatnot. So if she ever gets on top of Snaker, just presses ultimate, it's gonna be disastrous. But look, Azevedo once again going into the bot lane, all the wards have expired. Gix and Marvin do sniff out that something's fishy in the area, because suddenly Snaker and Ackerman started to go fully aggressive from
They're gonna
nothing at all.
lose that bot lane prio, and that means Jose Dioto smartly just going to immediately step onto the dragon, knowing his opponents in the bot side are backing. He will be unchallenged. He picks up, I believe, a Cloud Drake in the early game. And that extra movement speed, honestly, maybe one of the best first Drakes, in my opinion. The Cloud Drake just gives you just that little bit more access to the map, and you can get around now much faster than your opponents can, especially before boots are out.
I mean, the slow resistance as well. Think of like the Poppy Q, the Sejuani W, even the Aurora E. All of those spells are going to become less and less effective. And if Josedodo steals even one grab, that's a huge W in the early game for him. And I think he's going to be picking up two.
Yeah, he's able to shove out ganks who just doesn't have the support. Geegs not able to get in there and stop Jose Dioto from pushing him out, which is a really good start for IE. Being able to take not only 2 grubs, but the first Drake, not the handshake that we saw in the first game. And that's a strong start. They have a long way to go, but a good footing to work with.
And look at the item difference in the bot lane as well. Oh, Fu!
As goes in, Fu immediately unleashing the Fate Seal, and there goes the first blood, but it goes over to Geegs, unfortunately. But hey, you will take that if you are Fluxu W7M. Getting that progress towards that feat of battle. The first kill on the board, need to get 3 to have it come online.
I mean, unfortunate that it went in the bucket of Geeks, but you're getting so much XP advantage as well. And there's the Equalizer, not enough. He then just calmly walks away on the other side. Might lose this wave as well, because all of the solo lanes are playing without a teleport. Summit tries to get something more, gets the ultimate out.
We see essentially ultimate traded for ultimate. I thought maybe Summit was going to make something happen, but using the ultimate there to clear the wave, very smart. And let's see how this play started, because it kind of came out of nowhere. Fu just sees the angle and goes for it.
Immediately finds it. Make sure that the crowd control sticks there. Look at Geeks, how patient he was on the steadfast presence. Didn't use it immediately. Didn't give Ackerman the angle for him to engage on all of them, or Mirror to use his ultimate. But Summit, he does already show his lane prowess, getting 300 golds on top, getting a slight seat advantage, a plate on his name. And I think I really enjoy Snaker's advantage more, because that item discrepancy right now is huge. The BF Sword alone versus a pickaxe is close to a 500 gold discrepancy.
The BF Sword plus the Slingshot for the extra attack speed, going to make sure that you're just proccing your plasma as often as possible in those early fights. That's going to be a big source of that damage. Doesn't have the consistent DPS that she'll have at 1 or 2 full items. Ackerman is the one I'm interested in, because his potential to roam as Rakan could really shake up the rest of these lanes across the map. But for now, we're sticking to our 2v2. Jose Dioto hovering around the mid lane, but Fu just under the tower, nowhere to go. Back in our little bit of lull state, but already a lot more action than we saw last game, at least.
I mean, yeah, at least in the first 10 minutes time. I really enjoy him going back in the bot lane. Kai'Sa not the safest of laners, especially with no cleanse to get away from random Sejuani gank. You see Snaker playing very, very defensively, just making sure that he maintains that slight lead that he already carries. Now Josedeodo and ganks are in the area, but there's nothing for them to do in the map. Look, there's no comes up. Josedeodo just has one spawning right up right now, and there's a crab on the top side.
Look at Hidan's health! He has 190 health as he gets away from another equalizer from Summit. That was a close one, and we only got to see it from the little picture-in-picture at the bottom. Come on, observers.
I mean, at least this time he has his teleport to come back into the lane, not lose too much, but he's not building the companion. He's going the slow burner build. It's like we're seeing the release Aurora once again with that haunting guys already completed. And we are also seeing a lane swap going through, at least for the side of IE, as they are rotating Snaker and Ackerman towards the top side. Summit is in the bot side, and now they have a huge advantage because there's no teleport on Hidan. Either he goes mid and has to fight versus a kind of fed Ari on the first item. She might have died once, but you can see how much she does bully the Yone out time and time again, or you're fighting 2v1.
Yeah, this could be another plate going into Summit's pockets if he's able to pick that up there in the bot side, because Fu is just much slower on the rotation. They didn't have anyone to match Summit as he made his way to the bot side. And like you said, teleport advantage very squarely in IE's favor. Summit still has both his summoners up. And that could be potentially impactful at this second Grubs fight, but it doesn't look like Fluxu W7M have the ability to contest it at all. They're going straight for the dragon instead.
I mean, it's always the safest option, right? You're not in the area, you don't have the tempo, just see if there's something you can collect on the cross side of the map, and if there is, just be glad that you can do that without losing anything. Sometimes that's the wisest option, maybe not the most entertaining, but I really like this decision from Fluxer W7M. They managed to secure one Drake for themselves, equalize at least the Drake situation, so we will not have the VKS scenario once again where they will be fighting for an early soul.
Yeah, and we've got a Infernal Drake on the board and a lot of big damage dealers. We talked about there was a good number of like, not necessarily tanks, but beefier champions, especially like with the ults up in the last game. This game is just raw damage dealers. There's geeks and ganks. They're playing some tankier champions, but especially the side of IE, like Rakan can get pretty tanky with effective healing and shielding, and Vi isn't anything to sneeze at per se, but neither of them are real tanks, especially with Ackerman being on the support economy. So that Infernal Drake is going to kick things into 11. There's going to be so much damage spit out.
Yeah, especially considering that there's no effective range on both of those teams. Like, when you're looking at what you select as a keystone rune, you usually see, okay, what's the range champions? You don't consider Kaisa a range champion. You don't consider Zaya a range champion because you can actually get into their melee range pretty easily. Their range isn't the greatest, especially since the Kaisa builds right now aren't the AP builds. She will be going the classic critical marksman one with the Yuntal Wild Darts already completed. So with all those zero range and all those high damage champions, we're going to be looking at a very, very explosive late game.
Yeah, I mean that's the ideal situation. That's what we're all waiting for, right? We're sitting around like the kid from The Incredibles, like, what are you looking at? What are you waiting for, kid? I don't know, something incredible, I guess, or something awesome, I guess. Like that's what we're waiting for. We want to see it explode. And we're still kind of waiting on that. As I thought we were going to get more action, it was just that one early skirmish. Both teams playing, honestly, a pretty consistent macro. As there's the trap set up immediately out onto Geeks. The two charms from the ultimate. Boom! Here comes Geeks. He's so low. Can he escape? Everyone is so low. Marvin burns the ult, the flash. Here comes another battle dance from Ackerman, and Miryu picks up the kill. What a slow burn of a fight. It was so close, razor's edge. But Marvin ultimately falls, and IE gonna be very happy about that one.
Ackerman re-engages. He never uses his grand entrance as a grand exit. He gets the name very, very seriously. Now they're looking for the tier 1, the mid lane as well. Jose Deodo in the area. They have 5 grabs. They could just brute force it open. They opt not to. They just run away, get the small leads where they can. And I don't know how Geeks survived that.
Yeah, I thought Geeks was gonna fall for sure. Gets out, but at what cost? As Marvin has to burn the ult, has to burn the flash, dies anyways.
Yeah, let's look at it that way. As Geeks walks into the brush, Marvin was in the area, gets charmed immediately, never uses the ult preemptively, and look. single digit. I'm pretty sure
Oh
that's
my
close to
goodness.
single digit HP.
Yeah,
They all flash away.
the aftershock saved his life for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But Ackerman, he decides when that fight is done, and he never decided that it was done.
A very good showing there for IE, being able to just keep pushing forward. Persistence hunting at its finest as they're able to get a kill, but Geeks using the Hex Flash to come out and just hit Ackerman in the face with a hammer, tell him that you didn't like that play, and then run away with a steadfast presence.
Rude, and then runs once again, and nothing else to do there. He's still ahead in goal. He's the only one in his team ahead in goal with that first blood money in his pocket, getting that winged moon blade so that he's a little bit zoomier on the map. But the rest of his team are starting to struggle, and I'm not even looking at the goal difference like in the top lane or the jungle, which are very, very minimal. I'm mostly looking at Mirio versus Fu, where Fu had all the help in the world. Gangs was there multiple times, Giggs was there as well. They got Mirio's life, but then Mirio slowly yet surely with a high scaling build is already leading very close to 1,000 gold.
I talked about it during Champ Select. The Ari build going that Rod of Ages, much tankier, much more difficult to kill. I mean, obviously they were able to get that kill early, but going forward with ult up, oh, it doesn't matter. Dear goodness, Hidan just destroyed by Hoso Diodo and Summit. The equalizer comes down, and that top lane tower is a goner. They're probably going to push for mid lane tower here, and that buys more space for Jose Diodo to go ahead and try and take the Rift Herald, because Ganks has no chance to respond.
Yeah, I think he done over there. There was nothing else that he could do, just dies. They told him to cease, and he didn't resist at all. Now the Rift Herald going into the pockets of IE. They got the first tower blood, and I think they're very, very close. With the Rift Herald, they should have the feats of strength, so their boots will get upgraded. A few extra stats, not too many, especially considering that 2 of their members have no completed boots. They're just running away around in socks. But they do get a lot of map control with all those plays.
They're going to go and push for the mid tower here. Fluxu W7M, I see that they're responding and trying to clear this wave, but I honestly think I would have liked to see them just commit to the dragon and then fight as a team, because this tower's going down no matter what, and you're just giving over Geeks for free, and now Ganks might be the next target as Summit sees them in the jungle. They are on the run. They're going to have to seed this entire bottom side jungle. Fu going in, but just immediately going to have to snap back, and just there's no answer here for Fluxu W7M.
I mean, Ren, I think we're witnessing the start of a snowball. Look at where IE is. They're still pressuring. They still have a couple of ultimates coming up in the next couple of seconds. Look at Jose Deodos, and they still have the Rift Herald. That means that the bottom lane tier 1 tower is donezo, and then they can even follow up for more.
Yeah, Fu trying to find something, anything to get away, but ultimately just gonna ultimate and not gonna find anything as Snaker picks up his second kill of the game. That's where you want that gold going, and you are so right, Rev. The snowball is rolling down the hill, and it's rolling fast. I'm not sure if this is a snowball or an avalanche, as Fluxu is gonna lose a second tower in the bot side.
Yeah, just cue the Limp Biscuit because it's rolling right now. Snaker collecting the kill was the worst case scenario for the side of Fluxu W7M. Yes, they do get 2 towers, but they're losing 2 more on the other side, because for some reason Ganks did abandon the Rift Herald to its own fate. And now Marvin might be in trouble because IE are already out in the map and they're looking to fight again.
Oh my goodness, that is a gold graph. As 4.3 is quite a bit of gold lead at this point. Hidan able to successfully sneak away from Ackerman's engage there, buy himself some time. Summit's a little too low to go in, but he doesn't need to go in as he drops the equalizer over top. Hidan is burning down, but a teleport's coming out, and now Fluxu in position to try and defend their top laner. We have a bit of a just a kind of a knock 'em up as here it comes, another engage there from Fluxu W7, but it might be ill-advised. They all step forward, another teleport. Hidan's trying to get back to the fight and continue. This has just been going on for a second now. Now it's Fluxu who's in pursuit, but they're not going to get the chance as everyone's going to kind of break this off and set up for Otacon as he comes out.
Yeah, maybe they want to look at that again, but I don't think they have the damage to do it very, very easily. It is the Voracious as well, who is slightly tanky, if I remember correctly. So they all break off, and I think, even though it didn't look like it, the ones getting ahead in this whole situation are still IE, because Fu, no teleport anymore, hit down, no summoners anymore, the rest of the team lost so much time, and look at the waves, they were in an awkward position for Fluxo. They are the one losing more minions than Isurus. Isurus just coming back up, resetting, buying a few items. The Rod of Ages just stacked 10, so it gave Miro a free level as well. And now he's 2 items strong with upgraded boots for some reason, and 4 stacks in his Dark Seal.
And that's going to be really, really impactful. Already, I've called out a few times how tanky he's going to be with the Rod of Ages as the first item, but the Dark Seal are going to just add on to the massive amount of damage he has been kind of pumping into these fights. He's already hard to catch. They have boots. They have the upgraded boots. They have the Cloud Drake. He's got ultimate. Miru is going to be just a pain to deal with in all of these coming fights. Even if you think you've caught him in a side lane, it's going to be all false. His ability to squirm away will be so high it won't matter.
Yeah, especially with the extra ability haze right now. He spent that extra 750 gold. I think he's going to be rewarded. Summit.
Here comes the ultimate. The Fate Seal goes in. Summit goes low. Jose Diodo is already falling down. A shutdown. And that's a 2-0 clean for the side of Fluxu W7N. Marvin is low, and Miru is able to pick up the kill, but it's at the cost of Snaker's life and Snaker's ultimate. Miru gonna have to use the Spirit Dash to get away through the wall. And now just gonna try and clean up the wave. Is Fluxu gonna look for something else to do on the map? I think they're looking maybe to just push this top side and then set up to control it so that the...
Wait, they're losing meat.
Yeah, where are they going? Guys, you didn't kill Miru. He's still pushing waves.
A blue buff is more important, it seems. Look at the bot wave as well. It's crashing into the inhibitor tower, and you're still losing so much even after winning that fight. Let's look at it from the replay, because Summit, he wanted to ult here, but he got overheated, and Fu sees that, sees the crowd control, an excellent wombo combo. Summit flashes into the wall as well, can't do anything at all. Whereas Snake and Marvin, they're playing a 1v1. That ultimate from Snake a little bit too early for his own good, ends up dying, giving the kill to Hidan. That was a wonderful fight from the side of Fluxo, but they did nothing with it.
I wonder if that's Fu's biggest fan of the chat, or maybe that is a family member, a mom rooting them on. I don't know if any of our Brazilian fans can give us some more info on that. But I do love the Fu t-shirt. Very excited about that play. It goes overall well for Fluxu until the play is over. The fight, they chunked back a lot of gold. I think they got almost like 2k gold back during that fight, but they didn't make anything on the map with it. They got their mid lane pressured down. The bot wave crashed. They got a blue buff, but IE comes right back out on the map. Fight never happens. We're going to get a dragon.
Yeah, they're getting the dragon. They're getting the push in the mid lane, the push in the bot lane, and you once again are looking at the Fluxo, who is corralled in their own jungle, and even there, they're not safe, as Summit and Jose Deodo are repeating the same play with more of a success this time around. Maybe they're the ones setting up for an Atakan, or maybe they're just controlling the area for the Baron. There are still teams that never got used to the reality of having an extra neutral objective around the 20-minute mark, and they're just ignoring it.
Yeah, no one's putting the prio on it right now. We have a minute until Baron spawns. Fu setting up the bot wave. Gonna let that crash into that bottom tower. Try and equalize the map state a little bit. But yeah, you do point out no one has really looked for this Otacon, and maybe that is because it's harder to kill and there's not a lot of tanky members on either team that'll be able to survive and take the aggro from him. But you gotta wonder, if you're Fluxu, like, if you're not playing for Otacon, what is your win condition right now? What are you playing for? How are you gonna equalize this game?
Not sure. I think you're gonna try and look for a couple of wombo combos with Fu, with ganks, even with gigs. Oh, Fu is melting, but he's winning.
Fu gets melted through. during the entirety of that flame spitter, but doesn't matter. Whips out the ultimate, and well, Summit's fate is sealed, but maybe so is Fluxu's, because they're on the bottom side of the map responding to that, and IE says, all right, we're gonna go ahead and take Otacon. He's at half health now. Fu is gonna have to teleport in. He doesn't have the ultimate for a huge over-the-top engage. Here comes Hidan, gonna try and drop his ultimate. Here he comes, and it's stolen by Ganks! That's who is in charge. It's Sejuani comes in, and a well-timed smite with Jose Diodo and Summit down means that's a free objective for Fluxu TY4 Leash.
And they wanted to flip it, and that's what you get for it now. Without Jose Diodo, who's gonna steal the Baron? Summit tries to teleport in. Can he do something?
The equalizer goes wide. It's only in the pit. It hits no one. A charm finally comes out. They get one of the false deaths. They're probably going to get Fu here as well. But that means the objective is free. The Baron is in the hands of Fluxu. And even if they clean up all of these kills, that's only 1,000 gold, 200 apiece, because they're not really dead. And it doesn't matter. Miru is gone. And in an instant, the deficit wiped out. Fluxu is on top.
Oh, they do have the goal lead right now, and let's see how it started, because they want to use Summit's death and 2 ultimates missing to win that, but Jose Diodo mistimes the smite. He never smites. And Ganks, he struck true. They're trying to play it slow. They're trying to win the fight, and Fu sacrificing his own life, or at least the 4GA. They get so much down. That ultimate from Summit, he didn't want to burn the Baron just to not leash it. And he ends up doing nothing at all. And whilst you're trying to save the situation, you're just falling further and further behind. Miru ends up dropping as well.
And what a change of fate for Fluxu. They were dead in the water. We were wondering, how do they even get back into this game? They just had nothing on the map, and all of a sudden they've got everything going for them. The gold lead has shifted. I mean, 1,000 gold at this stage in the game really isn't much. Spread across 5 members, it's less than a component per. But when you were down 3k gold, it's a big advantage. They'll take the bot lane tower finally with the Baron minions. They're pushing in. It's Fluxu's day.
Yeah, and they have so much standing gold to deal with. All those starts are now melting because all your cards are 2.5 items strong. There's not even an IE on Fu yet. Imagine the power spike when he completes that huge item. 2 more towers dropped. The 1k gold lead is now 2.5k in favor of Fluxu W7M. And they are looking to be in total control.
Yeah, look at the Baron power play. They're plus 3,500 on the Baron, and they only have a 2,500 gold lead. Their Baron power play is so powerful, it literally pulled them out of a gold deficit alongside that fight at the Otacon. This is just a total reversal of fortune, as Hidan, maybe caught shopping, burns his ultimate to get away. That's not good, as now Fluxu is kind of all balled up in this river, waiting for IE to maybe engage. But there could be a flank angle here from Fu as a teleport comes in, and we might get the weirdest start to a 5v5. Everyone comes in, and there goes Summit. He is gone.
Summit hasn't gotten a good ultimate in the last 18 minutes of the game after that gank on the top lane, and now I think the Drake's gone, and I have to abandon it. It's still only the 3rd Drake. It's a soul point, not even a soul, and you're getting threatened so much. Miru might die here.
Miru has to pop the spirit rush to get away. Gonna go ahead and use that dash to get out, as now they're trying to come back towards Hidan. They do get a cease and desist onto him, and he gets blown up by Miru. It really comes down to those nuclear trades, but here comes Fu. Fu is full health, and he's free firing along with Marvin. It's not even close. They cannot kill these backliners for Fluxu.
I mean, Fu, he's so strong. With only 1 kill under his name, he's smelting everyone who dares to step in his presence. And that fight, it looks so good. Hidan got exploded, but it wasn't enough. Let's have another look as IE get the mid lane tier 2. They open up the base a little bit more, but there's a nice engage from Jose Diodo, a nice follow-up from Ackerman. Look at all those charms. He only misses ganks. But Fu, he's still untouched. He flashes in with a Soul Unbound, and that's so much damage with just a couple of auto attacks taking on the enemy backlane. and there is nothing they can do to dodge it.
So excited. And I want to call out something I missed during that fight. Geeks got a great punt there to remove another member so they could secure another final kill. If you're IE, I understand why you pushed in to get that tier 2 tower. I don't understand why you didn't just disengage towards your top side jungle. They went deeper into the other red top side. It doesn't matter now, as they're going to get a pick onto Marvin, and now all of a sudden Flukes are going to have to fight from behind. A good equalizer separates the team. Ganks is not able to get back to his teammates. Fu is on the run. Finally, Ganks gets over the wall. Hidan tries to trade back some damage, and IE stems the bleeding a little bit, getting that shutdown on the Marvin.
I mean, it's only 1 kill, so it's fine, I think. But still, the game looks pretty even. Gold lead be damned. I was about to make a joke that Fu has bought IE, so there's nothing that Isaurus can do. But it still seems kind of close if you don't respect the enemy vision pockets as they had in that banana brush, because that control world only clears one side of the curve. You will be punished. Jose de Odo is excellent on the snap, engages Mirio as well, blows his flash for that. And he hasn't even completed the Riftmaker. He will not complete the Riftmaker, actually. He's going for the Death Cap after the Zhonya's Hourglass.
That is going to be, like we talked about with the the Drakes, so much damage. And that's got to be a little scary if you're Fluxu W7M, because you need Marvin to kind of stick around. He's been doing a lot of good damage, but Miru is intent. He's using that gold lead to try and just blow up the backliners of Fluxu whenever they can get their hands on him. It's going to come down to positioning. These next fights are going to be so crucial about who gets there first and who can control vision.
Positioning, mechanics, split-second decisions, all of those will matter so much. Because right now it's still Fluxus' game to lose. They have the level advantages in most of those lanes, if not all. They have the gold lead, even slightly. Now they know where Ackerman is, but Ackerman is still threatening. He's playing his best Helisang performance, cosplay, but which Helisang is gonna be? Is he gonna be the old Fnatic Helisang or the Vitality Helisang?
Ackerman kind of has a bit of a flank angle, regroups with the team, no longer cut off. Both teams kind of battling for position in the mid lane here. And here comes the equalizer, again splitting Ganks away from his team, but immediately Fluxu will peel off. Is unable to lock anyone down, and that's a huge tool gone on the side of IE.
Yeah, let's see if they can follow up, if they have enough damage after that, if Fluxo decides to engage. But Fluxo, they're very undecisive. They're still waiting, healing up little by little, and now they're trying to burn another wave. All of the teams do is burn waves to make sure that the other team can punish them. The Baron is up, and the next Drake is spawning in 40. That was close.
Good damage on a Marvin. Marvin pops the ultimate to get to safety. Giggs turns into a helicopter, spins the hammer real fast, but doesn't ultimately pull the trigger and gets charmed. That's going to initiate the fight. Here comes the Fate Seal, but it doesn't quite connect. Marvin still gets the kill on the Jose Diodo, and immediately Fluxu going to try and peel back off, secure what health they have, sending Giggs back to base, and they're going to immediately start up the Baron.
Oh, yeah, Giggs can come back pretty quickly, but I think he's gonna stay. Even if he gets exploded, if he pins someone to the wall, it's gonna be nice, and teleport comes through.
Oh, and he's able to knock away Snaker! No way IE can contest this now! A great ult from Giggs. They just don't have any damage. It's just Ackerman and Summit. What will they do? Miru's on the wrong side of the map, and no one on Fluxu has died. Their gold lead balloons to 4,500.
And they might even lose the next Drake. They don't really care about it. What they want to do is start pushing in those lanes. But no, Fu and Hidan teleport in. They want to pressure. They want to get the soul. They want to be able to deal so much damage. We already see Hidan connecting 1 Q and 1 E onto Summit. He immediately melts 2/3 of the Rumble's HP. And now with the soul, he's going to do even more.
Yeah, oh my goodness, no contest from IE. They just don't have the numbers. They just don't have the damage. And Fluxu able to just rip through the dragon with all that extra damage. The soul is going to come out now. You'll see those explosions, all the extra AD, all the extra AP. Still only 1 kill for poor Fu, but I don't think he's complaining too much as his team has a very commanding position. They just need to close this one out.
1 kill doesn't mean he hasn't carried his weight. Has
And
done
there comes
more
the
than
fate
that.
sealed. It's on to Summit again. Summit's gonna unleash the equalizer, but equalizes nothing. It hits no one. Fu snaps back, gets out of most of the damage, and here's gonna come a free inhibitor for Fluxu. At this point, IE is paying them for their demolition services. My goodness.
I don't think there's anything they can do. There's still 2 minutes or minute and a half of Baron buff. And they can play with 2 more waves. The second wave coming has the mega minions, and they're already chipping away some damage. Move! Mirror, he missed!
The ultimate comes out. Geeks knocks Jose Diego back into the spawn. Isn't able to do anything. A good knockup coming out. IE finally showing some signs of life. Getting good damage down. Unable to get on to Marvin, though. And that's going to be a lot of damage coming back the other way. The Aurora ult doing what it needs to. Miru is down. Double kill for Fu. He's going to end this game. That is Fluxu W7M picking up their first win of the split. And maybe I spoke too soon, but no shot, right? There's no defense left.
Yeah.
They're trying their best. And this one is a foregone conclusion. IE's 0-3, Rev.
Not only IE is 0-3, but IE and Loud are 0-3. Who could have guessed? Who could be that much of an absolute mad lad? But this is the reality we live in. This is the craziest timeline.
We are witnessing we are witnessing the craziest timeline. And you know what? LTA South, that's the energy I come for. I come for the chaos. I come for the insanity. And if that's not what this game embodied, it looked so over. IE had the game just locked down, and then Fluxu exploded. That was maybe the single fastest swing I have ever seen out of a team. And I've watched this region for quite a while now. And regardless, Fluxu just, they made it look easy towards the end. And I was not expecting that.
Yeah, you give Fu an inch, he's gonna take a mile, and I am excited to see what more can he bring to the table when that team actually get itself rolling, because they're looking more and more stable by the day. And this could be just the beginning. I don't know. They might be one of the big forces of LTA South by next split.
Yeah, I mean, it looked bad early. But once they got back into the game, they didn't give it away. There was no big throw from Fluxu. They bided their time. They waited for IE to make a mistake. IE made a mistake and they closed their jaws. They did not let go. And you have to commend that kind of play. It's not the clean win that you might want if you're the coach or if you're one of the players on the team. But they don't ask you how, they ask you how many. And that's one on the board for Fluxu. Next up, we have another banger, which is Leviathan versus Red. And Red, who's made some changes in the offseason, comes out looking really good, but really inconsistent. I feel like Red can beat anyone on their day, and we'll see if it's their day versus Leviathan, who will take the game to 50 minutes and then win.
I mean, sure, I don't know if they can win anyone on their day, but they can try and bring their game. They can try to bring their chaos. I think with their rookie mid jungle duo, which is quite... I don't really want to call it solo queue-esque, but they do bring some solo queue energy in their competitive games. I'm not sure if you can do it versus Leviathan. I am very, very happy to be proven wrong. But so far, I am not really convinced that you can play versus one of the most stable teams, maybe.
And I think nothing is as it seems today. I think we are living in the phantom zone, like the negative realm, the upside down. No one expected the Loud 0-3. No one expected the IE 0-3, and maybe no one expects Red to win. But we'll see if they can do it when we come back from a short break. Welcome back to LTA South. That one was an insane banger game, and I have been told by some of our other casters, they may have talked about it in the Discord a little bit. I have been told that this one might be an even more turbo banger, that this is our match of the week. So if it's going up from that last game, I think we've got a lot to look forward to, Rev.
I mean, for sure. And I think that we have, like, we already talked about it a little bit before the break, but it's really a battle of two fronts, right? We have two completely different teams. One kind of explosive, they really trust themselves, and when they are their good day, they really have no opponent. But on the other side, you have the battle of slow and steady gets the race. So we do have a real hare versus the turtles right now.
Yeah, and when it comes to that, you know, we've all seen the fable. We all know the turtle is supposed to win in the end, but what if the hare is actually just really fast?
I mean, yeah, what if the hare doesn't take, like, time to nap? What if the hare also drafts kind of late game, but a little bit earlier late game? So I don't know how it will go, but we are also talking with stats or data that we had from week 1, and some of them might be like false. So far, none of them was false, because we said that Isurus is faltering, Loud is faltering, VKS is good, and Flaxo is better than we expected. So right now, these two teams have the chance to prove that, hey, not all that we saw in week 1 is what we will see for the rest of the split.
As they're not necessarily gonna shake it up in the draft phase, though. As Sejuani, who I think has been featured in now all 3 of our games so far today, well, we see a Varus on the other side, who's normally banned out, so we don't normally see him on the Rift, and Bronze is going to be piloting that, and the Yone. It's a very powerful first rotation.
I mean, I think that Varus is kind of a fake stat champion. He's very strong, he's very versatile, but at least in my mind, I didn't remember him taking over games unless Titan is piloting him. I'm looking through the stats right now. He has 3 games gone through, 2 wins, 1 loss. I don't see some huge amounts of damage or something like that. Kill participation will go very, very high. But we'll see. It's still like 3 isn't greatest number to go through. You still don't know, and maybe just he is a very strong pick that can dominate at least the lane, but not into misfortune if misfortune gets a favorable support matchup as well.
You'd imagine they're actually not going to pick their support here. So speaking of that support matchup, Red now have 3 chances if they want to narrow down that pool, because they did not pick their champ together in bot lane, which means that if Red does have a matchup they're concerned about, they can eliminate it going into this third and last rotation, or this last rotation after the second wave of bans here. As we're going to see just a kind of a very different draft from Red if that goes through, and it looks like it will. Then we have seen the rest of the day picking up both the Varus and now the Maokai, neither of which we have seen so far.
I mean, I really like it so far, especially since Doom can just go into the full AP build with the Maokai, just making sure that every time that Sejuani face checks through a bush, she'll get a huge chunk of her HP filled with by all those pesky couplings, which also burn max HP damage if you're building into really angry Stormrend and the Bloodfear Slayer, whatever it's called. So I really like it. We have a mix of AP, AD, both the Varus and Yone have a little bit of mixed damage as well in their kit. So even though you do have most of the completed income, you're still putting your card very close to your chest about how you're answering both bot lane and bot lane.
And Leviathan gonna actually ban out the Rel, narrowing the support pool a little bit further, as also the Poppy got banned out. And it's funny because I think of Pro Delta as the Rel guy. Like, I feel like that if you were to tell me who in LTA South plays Rel, I would point you at Pro Delta. So for them to ban it out means they really, really do not want to pick it. And I guess that makes sense, because pairing that with Varus, you're just gonna get locked down and just pumped full of damage. So they're making their choice here. No Poppy, also no Ambessa as another top lane ban thrown through. They saw earlier they don't want to deal with the Jax, so that is off the board as well.
Yeah, I really understand. Maybe they're not very comfortable with the Alistar. They don't wanna commit on the front line, so they're getting away with the rail. Dragan is a very nice pick. You do get a lot of little stepping stones to look to the engage, but still a pick that can be punished in the lane in case. I do love the Leona or the Nautilus into it, and you still can have something in the top lane that can punish it. That's what they. Wait, so that's the
So
that's working in the mid lane.
Yeah.
For a second there, I was very, very confused because I've casted the UKL and they played Corki jungle.
I'm gonna say it, Rev.
Yeah.
I don't like this draft from Leviathan. I'm not a huge fan. It's not like super fraudulent, but like, why are we banning Rel if we're gonna pick the best support to play into Rel anyways? If we were planning on picking the Alistar, why not just not ban Rel? Dare them to play it against you, unless you're really not that confident against Frosty and Bronze, which I where are these picks coming from? This guy just picked Silas.
In the top, you're picking Silas because there's Sejuani, there's Misfortune, and of course there's Alistar, whose ultimate is maybe the best ultimate in the game for Silas. So it should be Yone top, or even the Silas top into the Aurora. It's not that part of the matchup, so it should be sprung early. But afterwards, we do have enough game to go through the first. Kind of miss the lack of front line, unless you will be building the Maokai full tank and low Hiko. But I would love to see the Maokai getting at least the Leander Stormont.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about this draft, but I'm looking at it and I really, really like Red's draft. I think they did a lot of interesting things here, and they have a lot of flexibility, right? Yone in the top lane, he can build towards, the full crit. He can go full damage. He can, buy himself a little space, get things like a shield bow, some items that will help keep him alive. They're jungler. They can go AP. They can go tank. They have a really, really flexible draft, it feels like. And that I value that quite a lot when I'm drafting, just to look at, like, how can I pivot if the game doesn't go quite according to plan. And Lev kind of just played what we've seen everyone else play. I don't think there's a single pick on Leviathan that hasn't already been played today.
Yep, let's see if they will be able to keep their lossless streak going, or if Red will bring a little bit of blood out of Leviathan. But we have like a battle of the prime colors right now, right? We've seen blue versus green. No, we've seen red versus green with Loud. I don't remember.
It was Loud and Pain last week.
No, but Loud also played versus red.
Oh, they did. True. They played both. They played both the teams that I associate.
Yeah. So we're gonna see if this time water beats fire, off if fire have gotten some serious buffs in the Pokemon universe.
We're gonna have to see. Leviathan gonna come out, and I think. Oh no! You know what? I forgot. They picked Corki in the mid lane, which is something I don't. I mean. Can someone tell me, is Cody like a great Corki player? Because like Corki's not bad, but he's not fun.
Question is, okay, does it matter? Right now, the brand of Leviathan is you're waiting out 50 minutes to win the game, right? And what's the best scaling comp? Is double marksman, right? You get a little bit of AP there in the top lane. You do get the double front line, and it's double marksman.
It is double marksman. They did return Corki to his I'm gonna auto attack you for 3 billion damage roots instead of the I'm gonna shoot rockets at you. No, don't do this to us, LTA South. As we already have a pause coming now. It's early in the game.
I can never escape the allegations. There was I used to cast the JLL, and there was like this meme that every split there was somebody who was the black cat of the broadcast. Every time that he was in the broadcast, there were pauses, and for the last 2 splits, I was the black cat, and it's been following me ever since. I don't know why.
Rev, why did you do this to us? Just come on, start the game.
No, I've lost the button. I only have the pause button right now. I can't seem to find the unpause button. Like I've asked, is it behind this Rayquaza? No. Is it below this Rengar? No. Is it below this Polaroid of my cat?
Rev is just using this as an excuse to show off your desk.
Is it like under this LEC pin? No. Like, do you know where it is? Deadpool Pikachu? No. I do have a lot of stuff on my desk. I should stop.
You've got a great bundle of things on your desk. What a I love all of that.
Is it behind these like promotional Pokemon cards? No. Like, is it below this like clown nose? No, but it fits.
Bringing it back to the draft we saw just a little bit. So you know we've talked about it. We hammered it. So far, Leviathan style. This split last week, they were like, we're just gonna keep the game going, and then eventually you'll make a mistake and we will win. Where's the capitalization? Who are they preying on? Who are they waiting to make a mistake on red? Like, where do you think that the weak point in that armor is? You know, Chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Which one are they going after?
I mean, do you want me to list a player or a champion right now? Because I think
take your
different.
pick.
I mean, player, it's there's the easy pick of Doom and Mago, right? They are the new blood over there, especially Mago. He is a solo queue prodigy, but there's a reason most solo queue prodigies never seem to stick out in competitive. I can bring a lot of examples, especially from Europe, like Leader, Magifelix. All of them never do survive long in the competitive environment. But honestly, and it might be a hot take, but he could target brands. I know he's a bot gap guy, but he also likes playing very, very aggressively. And they have very early picked Varus for him, which is an aggressive laning pick. So you should expect them to play into CEOs and Pro Delta's face. And that could be their undoing if Scary finds an angle once or twice in the bot lane.
And Rev, I don't know if you saw, I ducked off camera because I found the button. It was at my house.
Oh, where was it? Was it behind the clown nose?
As we are finally back into game, no more pauses. Do not worry, everyone. And I do think, yeah, I mean, if you're Bronze, he does like to, you know, I think he's a very like, I'm gonna win the game myself kind of guy. And he is Mr. Bot Gap and he can do it, but it's gonna be hard to do that on Varus. If you step out of position, there is no recourse.
Yeah, no mobility on the champion. Also, once again, playing the lethality option, which should give him the freedom of, you know, playing from further back. And there's not a lot of front line from the side of Leviathan, so you should be able to punish them. Last time he made me eat my words from when I said that, you know, the lethality Varus does tend to drop from a cliff after the 2-3 item spike. But I think that FNB has dropped from a cliff right now. He's less than 200 HP.
The HP trade's very much favoring Leviathan early in both the solo lanes, as Zothby just spamming thumbs up at FMB, hits him with a combo, thumbs up, and he's gonna pay for it as here comes Doom. Zothby now cut off from his team. He's gonna try and get some damage onto FMB, gets the electrocute proc, and is able to get away over the wall, has to burn his flash to do so. Maybe hubris, maybe rein it in a little bit, or here will come Doom to punish it.
Okay, now that the trades are over, at least for now, have you seen the new tech on Alistar?
New tech? There's a new thing? Yeah. His kit hasn't changed.
No, there's a new thing. It's been brought by the Mad Cow expert himself, Helicopter, where I think Pro Delta might be in trouble here. He hasn't got the Aftershock and Brands.
Comes to heal, give that extra movement speed, ignite on the Frosty, but Pro Delta forced to use his flash, and he just doesn't have the health to go back in. With no ult and no items, that is not a very tanky cow. He's a squishy guy, and he does not want to get turned into burgers.
Yeah, and very, very nice aggression from Brancy and Frosty. The moment they saw that Scary is still on the top side, they know there's nothing scary for them in the bot side, instantly engaging onto Pro Delta, who spent all of his battles to just deal a little bit of damage on the enemy support. Not the wisest decision, and very nice aggression from them. But yeah, the new tech is you literally go, never mind, there's
here comes Frosty trying to get the dive. A good there, the rain from Seo able to separate
12.
Bronze out, and Frosty barely survives. You can see had single-digit health. Even now, only 20 health, goes back up to 100 after the level up. For Delta trying to find maybe the angle onto Bronze now that he knows there's no support, but Bronze has a lot more health than Delta does at the moment. So maybe rethinking that decision, waiting on their jungler to come and make something happen, perhaps.
If you flash the headbutt pulverize as well, you have all that outplay potential, has the barrier, so way more effective HP than CEO. There's no engage going on every time. It's so close, but nobody's dropping yet. Maybe there's going to be a change in the mid lane, as Cody should have the Valkyrie. It should be safe.
The battle dance comes in, doesn't ultimately do anything. Cody just too safe, able to, like you said, Valkyrie out. Okay, now, never mind. Mongo goes in, has to flash out because he doesn't know Scary is there. And here comes Frosty. He's able to battle dance in again. Cody is so low, but they're not able to get to him. Mongo going to go ahead and keep backing out. And I swear, eventually we'll talk about Alistar, but for now we've got a fight in the mid lane that's really going down. These teams want to scrap.
Every time that I try to bring a little bit of color, or there's more and more action, I'll stop talking.
No,
Again,
tell us.
Now the tech is electrocute Alistar, okay, and you're building symbiotic souls into Zhonya's first, going full AP there.
Wizard Cow, he's real.
Honestly, you're building like these plus either a Cosmic Drive or a Shurelias, a Magi's, and then you're just going for full control wards. And I've tried it in not the highest, but not the lowest of Illos. So I've tried it in high diamond. It works, and it's so disgustingly funny.
I have a buddy, right? He's a friend of mine. I'm not gonna lie. He's not a high elo guy, but he has been doing Wizard Cow. Like, yeah, I'm gonna build AP Alistar for the longest time because he just thinks it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. Like, I've won as a game. Never mind, there's a dive attempt there. I think
nothing's coming of it. There's nothing going on. FMB's perfectly safe. His buddy Doom comes to make sure no dive can come through.
Yeah, still has the ultimate, still has the flash, still pretty safe.
His ultimate comes out in the bot side, so much damage, but dodge is out from the next ability, able to headbutt pulverize in, but Pro Delta still going to go down. First blood goes over to Bronze, who's now trying to get damage onto CEO, but CEO is backing out now. Frosty is able to take up some damage. Here's Mongo. Mongo misses the duct and is unable to confirm the kill. Some fancy footwork from CEO to keep himself on his feet. My goodness.
Yeah. Try to predict the flash, I think, over there, but CEO was so patient. Managed to survive the goal late, still going into the red candid side, but not by a big margin. Just 200 gold is what they can get, especially considering that their top lane has been suffering so much.
Yeah, you can see the CS lead is up in the 20s. Is a great ult. They catch Pro Delta, and Pro Delta is essentially forced to go in to not die to the arrows there, and that means he's gonna die anyway. It buys time for CEO to try and hit Bronze and get the damage in, and so close if Jean Mago hits that. My goodness, but it was never meant to be.
But still very nice angle from Red. They do have the first tree of grabs, so Eden and Eddie is in their pockets. They will collect the first Drake as well. So they do still have a chokehold on the early game.
FNB just entirely whiffs the Fate Sealed, and that means Zothby can burn the flash to get out of the battle dance, and essentially comes out unscathed from that gank in the top side. Really got to scratch your head there. FNB, you gotta hit those.
Yeah, but it's not the easiest thing to do, since you do need somebody to crowd control layer the enemy champion, or you yourself with a Q3 didn't manage to do, but still they got the flash out at Southfair, so that's a very nice angle. You have the flash advantage. The ultimate, not the greatest of cooldowns, the flash is a 5-minute one, so you should be able to find an angle in the next couple of minutes, especially considering that the We might even see a lane swap. The bot lane is already in the mid lane, and the next trio of grabs is very, very soon to spawn.
Yeah, it's something we didn't even comment on with all the fighting and fisticuffs going on in the early game. Red not only pick up first blood, but they also pick up 3 grubs and the first dragon. And so everything just kind of going their way except for that top side. And even then, FNB making some progress to cut it back now.
Yeah, like the gold lead has really been cut down. It was close to 400 there, just over 100 right now. 100 gold means absolutely nothing. You just can buy a couple of pots, and those only give you effective HP very, very slowly if you have the opportunity to use it. So, still very even game. Still, I feel like Red are in complete control since they are very nicely moving all around the map.
They're looking for a gank in this top side. Cody gonna try and retreat to his tower where he knows he has a support coming in to save him. He's got his jungler there. And everyone's getting set up for this next set of grubs. This has kind of been where games have been exploding as of late. This has been the first objective that people are really, really fighting for. And both teams kind of just waiting to pull the trigger and find their end to take control.
Yeah, they're still playing for the waves. Top lane has been pushed, so Red have no angle. Mid lane is where Brancy takes control. They want to move from there. Last time they did not pull the trigger since FNB still had no access to the ultimate, but now he has. And now he should be moving very, very shortly from the top lane. Cody is already in the area.
The 4th grub picked up. That means the buff is going over to Red, but here comes the ultimates. Everyone going back and forth. Here comes the big engage over the top. Fate Sealed misses again, unfortunately. And this fight is taking forever. No one is going down. And finally, we can get some things online for Leviathan. Frosty way over the top. Battle dances too far in and pays the price for it. Both supports are down. It is now just the damage dealer. CO able to barely escape with single-digit health, 7 health, is able to get out, and Mago picks up a kill. A big, chaotic fight.
And you might not see it in the goal lead, but that actually unlocks Red so much as the fight goes completely in their favor. And all of the grabs go completely in their favor as well. Somehow Doom here secures this one. The second one, the third is sprayed by CEO. But it's indeed a chaotic fight. You see how much damage everyone is missing. The knockup connects. Frosty somehow survives from this predicament. Managed to go back for a little bit, only to die seconds later. As CEO also survived. I think it was less than 5 HP here. We did see it slightly later, but Cody can say the same. He has been caught between rock and hard place, and the hard place did smack him down.
Oh no.
Go to here.
I
Might be in
apologize.
trouble
I
as
had
well.
some microphone issues and I could not be heard through the stream. Sorry, chat. I had so many interesting things to say. If you heard it, you would have just been amazed at how insightful my commentary was. Unfortunately,
I can concur. Like, it was indeed very insightful. I feel a wiser man that I was 12 seconds before. Just saying, chat.
but yeah, I think the big thing, Red picks up the feats, full 6 grubs, has the first dragon, has the first 3 kills. The gold lead is not massive. Individually, their gold leads, the biggest gold lead they have over a counterpart is 600 gold. Like I said, it's a component. It's somewhat impactful at this game. It's not at this stage. It's not nothing. But the big thing they have is the map control.
Yeah, thing is, like, if you take a look at any kind of neutral objective right now on the map, the Leviathan is nowhere to be found. CEO might be in trouble here. There is a quickness.
Battle Dance comes out. Quickness is able to connect, but CO is able to escape with their life due to the aid of the trusty Pro Delta. ever there to drop and ignite, get a few knockups, and get away. But Leviathan, the big thing I will say is, despite all of the neutral objectives, another dragon now going over to red. While all that was happening in the mid lane, another dragon picked up. They're not necessarily, like, they're not so far out of it. The gold is still very close. And if there's one thing we know about this Leviathan team, if it goes late, their chances to win just get better and better.
For sure, and they do have the double marksman comp as well, but Forky is not the traditional late game critical marksman. He's a mid range assassin, more like after the last couple of his updates. You're playing into a Yone, and yeah, FNB have been missing a couple of those ultimates, but there's a lot of crowd control to follow up, like here.
FNB is not able to land the Q3. The barbs will come across, tangle Cody up, but ultimately nothing doing, unable to find the dive there. Everyone's just kind of go back to what they were doing before. The fights have, we really had the one big fight, and beyond that, there's really not been much interaction on the map. It's finally a Fate Sealed will connect, but onto the wrong target as FNB goes down. And despite being the one to make the engage, is the one giving over 300 gold.
Yes, this game isn't really rolling for red top lane or now. Brancy still fine. Oops, the Yomus Ghost Blade is a very speedy boy, and Frosty connects with him as well. But that top lane is kind of weird, and now that he dies for the first time is when he also equalizes in gold. What's up with that?
I think he had some nice time in the bot side where he was just hanging out by himself, getting some farm. No one really bothering him. Speaking of getting bothered, Zothie will go in, and Mago is shut down. It looks like a small shutdown going over to Zothie there. Burns the flash to secure that one, and I think you will take that, especially if you have Zothie on your fantasy team, like I might.
I mean, that's shameless self-propaganda over there, but I'll take it, honestly. And you're doing it on a timer where the Rift Herald is up, so now Scary can move in, even without their mid lane being prio. FNB, no teleport. Cody can teleport into the fray, but Pro Delta is already in the bot lane, so they might abandon one more neutral objective in favor of pushing in a lane.
Yeah, the gold lead now swinging into the favor of Leviathan, just barely, just a little bit. It does show that despite not getting a lot of the neutral objectives on the map, they are still making things happen. They are still getting the gold they want to secure and push for late game and get those items online. It's not entirely unplanned, but it looks like another neutral objective in the hand of red as they're going to pick up Shelly. And that is now in Doom's hands, and we'll see where they drop that on the map.
I mean, that was nice flash from Scary in the mid lane, making sure that you get the flash out of Brancy. Didn't commit the Glacial Prison, but you know that next time he cannot escape. There's no cleanse, there's no what you call Mikhail's Crucible as well. But if you manage to crowd control the enemy marksman, there's no way for him to escape with this immobile Varus pick, at least for the next 3 minutes or so, because he does have the Onion Bots of Lucidity.
Now, Mago going in to try and make that trade, but maybe ill-advised, as Zothie will just take that health right back the other direction. And I think that to both his benefit and detriment, Mago is willing to go in. He is never scared to fight you. And sometimes that results in that one really cool Akali play, and sometimes it results in the rest of that game where he was playing Akali.
I mean, Mago giveth and Mago taketh away. You can't really make the cool plays if you don't get yourself in danger way. They're called cool because they're not the 100-0 or 90-10 plays. They're called cool because there is that element of outplay, that element of, hey, I'm just better. And Frosty wants to find that, but those chains will not collect. Cody, very fast on the Valkyrie.
Chains of Corruption coming out here. It's not necessarily like a super long cooldown, but with the dragon up at the moment, it's an ultimate you really like to have fighting in these tight corridors. It might matter here as Leviathan are pushing forward. They're finally going to try and contest in a neutral objective maybe. They're not going to let red get soul point for free.
Let's see. They still have most of their ultimates. Their quickness is up. The Nature's Grasp is up, but Scary, together with Prodelta, are moving into the enemy jungle territory. They're pushing the enemy in. And with FNB not having access to the teleport, maybe there's no play for Red Canis in the Drake. They can abandon the next couple of Drakes and they're still gonna be fine. But they were very much like to at least do something simultaneously. They have the Rift Herald, and they still are not pressuring any lane with that.
Here it comes. The Otcon will spawn in the top side, and the Rift Herald getting spawned in the mid lane. Red gonna try and make sure they get something out of this Dragon play. Gonna go ahead and pressure down that mid lane turret, outer mid lane tower. You mentioned this in the last matchup. Very important when it comes to map positioning. And then they're gonna take that Herald and pilot him up to top lane, and he hits the wall, but he'll clear the minions. He'll get a charge off on the tower, right? No, he won't. He will not. Unfortunate. Sorry, Shelly. You did your best.
You're just using Shelly for the insurance claim at this point. Just make sure you get some cash back. And they did get some cash back. They're back in control, but 400 gold, or at least like 500 gold, is as good as nothing at this point of the game, as we slowly yet surely total in 21 minutes into that game. And the good news for Red is that Mago has almost completed stacking his Rod of Ages, and he's very, very close to the Rift Maker as well. The bad news is you're playing into a double Lady Garrett comp and you're not getting any leads, whereas when you started the game on a very, very nice note.
Yeah, they still have, the majority of those neutral objectives controlled, but they just haven't been able to turn that into putting Leviathan into the dirt. They haven't taken their lead and tried to snowball it at any point. And Leviathan is a dangerous team to just let hang on, and because they will eventually just do whatever they want across the map. As we see the total damage coming across, Bronze doing quite a bit so far, but Cody and Zlutve not too far behind. And that's honestly, I'm looking. You're talking about the double marksman. What scares me if I am this Red comp is Zlutve is coming for it. If I'm a immobile little Varus, if I am an FNB or a Mago that has to go forward into their team, I do not want to deal with this Aurora.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna be a very, very scary Aurora, although Zlutve so far has been kind of MIA most of this game. He's been just trading in, doing his best there, pressuring and nothing more. Whereas Red is at least doing something on the map. They're getting some stuff back. Like bot lane tower, now they have dealt with all of the tier 1, whereas most, at least 2 out of 3 tier 1s are still standing and pretty healthy from the side of Red. So there's no actual pressure at all from Leviathan. They're just waiting to be suddenly activated later in the game.
Yeah, that's the hope, is that they'll wait, they'll outwait their opponent and come online. But Red, like we talked about, have had the king's share of the map so far, able to take whatever neutral objectives they like for the most part, save for that most recent Mountain Drake. They've been able to take 3 towers where Leviathan only have the 1 in the bot side. And so that means, Leviathan has to be careful, because even without a massive gold lead stacking up, all those intangibles, all those things that aren't represented directly on the stat line, they will make it a lot more difficult for you to hit that activation point to come online. There might be having to wait for Red to make a mistake here.
Yeah, and Red, they are willing to try to make the play, and that means they're also willing to make the mistakes. Thing is, all those mistakes are not mistakes if they're just better, right? So far, Brancy, he has spent his flash once, died 0 times, no defensive items so far. Frosty died once in a play in the bot lane where they got a kill as well. Mago, same. FNB, who has been kind of shaky the whole game, he's not slouching as well. He's 20 CS up right now. He's pressuring very, very nicely into the side lane. He has the 2 healing items, at least the one, the shielding one, 50% crit. He's quite strong and looking for another play, or at least to pressure the tier 2 in the bot lane.
Twisted Advance comes out, isn't able to find anything. Exalted does so much damage to F&B, but he's outmatched here. No friends. They're finally here, and Frosty steps forward, and now all of a sudden it's him on the back foot. Red is running away as they get expertly just baited by Zothvi, who's earning me more and more fantasy points.
I mean, you called it. They're waiting for the mistake, and the mistake did show itself. They were ready to answer. And what timing as the Baron, we see him crawling through the river. He will be spawning pretty soon, and they have the man advantage. I don't think that they can secure it yet, but they should be at least able to set up some vision over there. Prodelta, you might be hinting there a little bit.
Oh, Exalted now gets caught. Mago on top of him. He's going to take a lot of damage. That's not what you want to see. Prodelta is able to get the knockup, though. Mago's not able to get away. Gonna steal the unbreakable will from Prodelta. Not able to hit the abduct there as FMB forced to use his teleport in, come to support his team. That might mean because Lev backed out a little bit, they have ceded the space, and Red is now first to this dragon.
Very important dragon as well. If you manage to collect all those mountain drakes with a Maokai frontline with the actually low eco build, he should be a force to be reckoned with. Who can go through him? There's no armor penetration at all. There's nothing to help with that. Only maybe the Aurora slightly with the Leandris. Leviathan, they are pulling the trigger. They're starting the Baron.
No, there's no vision for Red, and Zothve shoved in that top side, so they really don't know where these members of Leviathan are. They could really be anywhere. They have no idea where Prodelta is, which means he's got a great flank. As they just keep retreating, Leviathan keeps retreating into areas where there's no vision. They finally are going to spot Prodelta out there at the bottom. And Red staying nice and balled up, not giving opportunity as the Glacial Prison goes wide. Prodelta goes in for the knockup, but he's getting burned down. Can the MF do anything? No, gets knocked up. FMB is in there and finally contributing to his team. Leviathan too low, took too long to make a decision, waffled about and get punished for it.
We're still not 50 minutes in, so they've not been fully activated. And that gives Red the angle they wanted. Frosty, a very nice engage. The moment he sees the MF standing still, calling that bullet time, he strikes with a quickness, making sure that they can win the fight. Then they collect the Baron on all 5 members.
All 5 members still up. Another neutral objective into Red. I think we see what their game plan is. As we start this replay, I want to really point out, once they found out Prodelta, the threat was gone, and Prodelta's forced to go in, and that just ends up very poorly for her.
And also Prodelta was looking for the flank angle, and the thing with the flank angle, if you're first not discovered, you're very strong, right? There's no way for the enemy team to decide where to strike, and you can ambush them. But if you are found out and you're isolated and you're not in sync with the rest of the team, and that showed this time. You are dealing with the Alistar. You are getting his ultimate lately. The Alistar engage comes with no follow-up whatsoever, and that then gives you this whole angle if you are the Red Canids.
They have to be, overall very pleased with that play. Went over well for them. They've got the Baron power play, and now are going to be able to push in all these lanes even further, take control of the map a little bit more. And Leviathan, we talked about, don't let them stay in the game too long, but at this point, maybe it's not even that they're being given a chance to scale. Red might just be slowly bleeding them to death, because Leviathans, they're a big beast. They take a while to kill, but Red seems to be doing it the right way as they're looking for the dive. Prodelta with just no health left. A tower will fall in the mid lane. A tower will fall in the top lane, and Red continue to just have their way with the map.
And the thing is that you have to use 3 ultimates to do that, right? So there's nothing left for you to do. There's no way for you to keep sieging for the next start. Sorry, you have to reset, regroup, and retry with the next iteration of your cooldowns. But they're trying to cheat the tempo a little bit. There's a cheeky little death brush over there, but Scary decided that it's too scary for him to face check.
There's nowhere for Leviathan to go. They're very hemmed in right now. Purple Cloaks still up on the side of Red. They're going to go ahead and start up Otacon with all the space they've bought themselves. Now, we have seen a team that was slowly bleeding out their opponent, slowly winning the game, throw the game at this very objective very recently. But they were able to secure the Otacon before Lev even get eyes on it, and now Red rushing forward, surging forward to push Leviathan back again. And Leviathan just left with nowhere to go. They're slower on the map, they're slower to the draw.
Yeah, and thing is, right now, if they had reset, they could start sieging immediately. Now they have to reset, they have to spend all that excess gold that they gathered with the towers, with the pushing of the lanes. But that also means, look at the items. 3.5 items for Brancy. He's very, very close to the edge of night. 3 items for Mago. 3 items almost for Doom. I also, 4 junglers at least, I count the upgraded boots. And I think that FNB should be very, very close to completing an extra component for himself. Already 100% critical. And he should be starting to get more and more tanky. He's already level 18.
And they still have this... the fake guardian angel, the false life, the false death, to continue to push forward, and they can be a lot more aggressive at these upcoming plays, and its soul point drags up in 10 seconds. They'll be able to make this entire fight with that safety net still on them, no fear, and there's really not much for Lev to respond. They're pushing at this top side, but Red is now pushing at the bot side.
Yeah, and thing is, you know what else is on the bot side? The next Drake, and it's
Exactly.
a soul for Red. What are they doing?
There's no recourse for Leviathan. They have to go shove out one lane, then they have to go shove out another. They finally are able to take the kill onto FMB. Well, the kill, as he's transported it back to base very kindly by Otacon. And they'll take 200 gold, but in exchange, like you called out, like there's just a Drake on the map. And that's going to be Reds for free, no contest. Leviathan's strategy of giving over every single neutral objective sans one is, believe it or not working out very well for them.
It's super weird because you also spent Cody's flash. If Cody didn't flash there, he'd die, and that would be a 1 for 0, a 1 for just 200 gold, and that's not worth at all. You have 0 armor penetration in your team. You have 0 magic penetration in your team. You only have the Leandro Storm, and that kind of burns max HP. And there's not a lot of people building max HP. There's only like 2. Even Rakan has started building more and more supportively. The Mikhail's Crucible already completed. And now Brancy can start clicking forwards as well with no extra repercussions.
Yeah, the effective health on the side of Red is really high because they have 2 separate Lockets of Iron Solari. And that's in the middle of these heated fights. That's usually a full team, or at least most of your team, getting that shield. And so all of that adds up. They have now the Mountain Drake. That's another shield. Those are more resistances. It's really, really tough for Leviathan to even try and poke down or try and make a dent in the big health bars of Red. And even then, they're outranged. If you talk about poke, what does Red have if not the ultimate poke champion over there with Varus?
Let's see if that's just the end of it all. If Red will actually strike and finish the unbeaten streak that Leviathan have so far, or if Leviathan still are scaling up, if all those narratives that we have cooked up are very, very real. Doom is on the Baron and he's on Vision as well, but is there a way for Leviathan to actually get in the area to contest?
Leviathan playing in this death ball composition, trying to group up, but the Baron is already at halfway. They're making very little headway into this river. They're getting poked down. Scary is already at 2/3 health. They're able to get CC onto Frosty, but Frosty's not the guy you need to CC. FMB coming across, and Doom will secure the Baron, and that means Red's going on the front foot. Good damage from Zothvi, trying to get something done for his team. Perdelta buying more time, but the health bars just aren't falling fast enough. There's nothing that Leviathan can do. 3 members have fallen, and everyone on Red is still up. Cody is trying to do damage, but look at that. Mago doesn't even take anything. It means nothing. Zothvi will fall. It is a 5-4-0 ace. Okay, well, now we're just wasting my time.
Yeah, it's a 5-4-0. They got the Baron. For some reason, my eyes deceived me. I thought it was stolen, but no. Doom strikes true. He is the MC, the MF Doom of LTA South and Red. They are striking once again. They haven't lost in the first day of a week so far.
all caps when you spell the man's name, as the rookies for Red, who were the big question marks, looking exceptional in today's game. I mean, we talked all game about how the map control for Red was unparalleled. They could not be touched at these neutral objectives. And where does that start? It starts with the jungler.
Yeah, he was exceptional as well. Doom, Mago, they played the game excellently. Also, Brancy, together with Frost in the bottom lane, they were the pressure point in the early game. FNB slightly shaky, but he found the angles later in the game, and they make sure that there's no 3-0s if they are concerned. Only Vivo Keystar so far are lossless, and maybe Pain Gaming will follow up in the last game of the day.
And we do still have one more coming up, and what has looked like our strongest team so far with Pain Gaming. It's gonna be, again, I think this whole week has been lots of exciting matches, and we touted that Red Leviathan might be game of the week, and yet Red just really never let Leviathan in. The thing we thought IE was going to do to Fluxu, where they were just slowly starving them out and then the game ends. Yeah. And then Fluxu turned that one on its head. Instead, they gave IE, I guess, gave all their energy, like the Spirit Bomb, they gave it all to Doom and Mago and Bronze, and not FMB, but you know, he'll get around to it. They gave it all to Red, and then Red just didn't let Leviathan play the game. It shifted kind of late, 35-ish minutes, but it just didn't matter. Leviathan had no avenues to play.
Yeah, every time that they tried to play, they got outplayed time and time again. Red was on their day. A little bit of struggle in the mid game, but found their angle time and time again. Brancy, Mago, Doom, they were so great today. And I think that it's an excellent game for Leviathan to try and see what they're liking, because if you're just waiting for the enemy to lose by themselves, then you're not a great team, you're just a gatekeeper.
Yeah, and that really feels the Leviathan is you must be this tall to play in the LTA South. And turns out Red had stilts. So the last game of the day coming up is Pain versus Furia, and what a litmus test for Furia. We're not sure if they're an insane super team or if they're a little suspect. Furia has a lot to prove, and they can do it today. If they take a win over Pain Gaming, that would be quite the statement. But we got to go to a short break. We will be back. Do not miss this last game. I'm telling you, it's going to be another exciting one. You will be
heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last
Hello, everyone. One more game left today, and it should be a good one. I think I've said that about all 4 games today, and really, I feel like all 4 games today were promised to be great games. We had a good matchup this week, and this final one is Pain Gaming. By far, what looks like our strongest team, untouchable, versus Furia, who just can pack an absolute wallop, but they're not necessarily the most consistent team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's more or less a repeat of the previous one, maybe with higher stakes, because Leviathan was able to win versus most of the teams just by dragging the game out. Pain, they're just brute forcing stuff, and Furia, I think that they are Red Canids kind of on steroids as well, or at least they are the more experienced Red Canids so far.
Yeah, okay.
They know how to play the game, they're trying to outhand you, and sometimes that does go south.
Yeah, it works really, really well when it works, and when it doesn't work, it looks a little suspect. And you're so right, that observation about Pain, it is kind of a similar thing where, to the last game where it was like one team that really consistently winning and one team that is really good but inconsistently. The difference is Pain is here to just knock your teeth in, steal your lunch money, and then ride off into the sunset. These 2 teams are teams I owe apologies to. One, Pain, I may have uttered some misinformation in the last split that you guys couldn't get it done when you had literally just won CB Lowell the split before. So I might be eating my words a little bit now. And Furia, I had them ranked below Fluxu last split. And I feel really, really dumb because this roster is so talented.
I mean, they are, but I think the best thing that one can do with all those tier lists is accept their mistakes, because that's the biggest content, right? Imagine if we always did tier list and everything was as we see it on paper. That would be so boring, at least in my world. So I'm very happy that some of those teams are exceeding expectations. I'm very happy to see some of those teams keep smashing Kiddos, and by smashing Kiddos I mean, of course, Pain Gaming, because that lineup is super cracked.
Yeah, I mean, Weiser just king on the top side. Only Robo has ever really been able to keep up with this guy. Karaoke, just a very consistent jungler. And the Titan and Curry in the bot lane are the take over the game bot lane duo. And the new guy, Roamer, doesn't look half bad himself. And speaking of the top lane, we're seeing another Blue 1 Rumble. Maybe it's a bit of a shift in priorities. Coaches have looked at where the meta is going. You know, this Sejuani character keeps popping up, and they're saying, we're gonna make sure we get a nice big just chunk of damage in the top side to deal with it.
I mean, Sejuani, I was looking at the stats again. I think she has something sort of a 80% win ratio, slightly hit by the previous game, but he is very strong champion. It makes sense. He is kind of like a Maokai, but he doesn't has that sweet, green goblin mask that whispers into your jungler's ear. No, you should build AP. Look at all those saplings burning the enemy team, you coward. So you don't have that. You can just build armor, HP, and resistances. So it works.
All right, hear me out, Sejuani players. Right, we're gonna go literally any Sheen item and Sundered Sky and just Q auto. That's our game plan now. We gotta invent something. We can't let the Maokai players have all the fun building damage when maybe they should go tank. But speaking of tanks, we are pulling out Skarner in the jungle. Just an absolute monster of a pick in splits past. Kind of neutered across the off season, but still a very capable jungler in the right hand.
I mean, yeah, he is still, I feel, the king of weird angles. He is what Rek'Sai used to be in her prime, but better, because you can keep them for longer. You don't need to execute, yada yada yada. You don't need to reset our aggro because you don't care about our Scorpion. Together with the Ash, that's a lot of crowd control for the side of Furia, who have put all of their cards into that, and it's very hard to pull it off in competitive. But can you feel the Olaf angle over here? Imagine an enchanter like a Renata plus Olaf. I feel like painful.
See,
Run through enemy.
you lose me at Enchanter. I think Enchanters are just gone. I don't think we've seen one. We haven't seen one yet so far in LTA South. I've been paying a little less attention to the other regions, but tank support meta is here to stay. And as a tank support player, I wanted to think that way. But I do see the possibility. I wonder though, that top side has Jace. Weiser on the Jace, very in theory a very strong pick, but I feel there's a bit, the people in chat will know what I'm talking about. There's a bit of suspect anytime you see any Brazilian player play Jace, and Weiser has been in Brazil so long, he is now considered, he's not an import, he's a Brazilian player, if my facts are correct. And so, yeah, maybe the BR Jace will strike again as we see 2 supports banned out on the side of Pain and 2 ADCs banned out from Fear.
I mean, the Jace right now is very, very strong. Even in the semi-range champions like the Rumble, he can play with the Grasp of the Undying. Suddenly, you're way tankier, you have sustain in lane, you still deal absurd amounts of damage, and you can go into the kind of off-tank build, the Spear of Sojin, the Black Cleaver, all of those skirmisher items that do carry like 300, 400 HP each. And you enter the mid game, everyone sees a Jace, they have the muscle memory, hey, we need to engage on this guy, he's squishy. No, you're working 3500 HP, and you can survive while dealing damage, while pushing enemies away and dislocating them, and that's very nicely. But I do like the Seraphine Ash combo.
It's like they heard me talk bad on Enchanters, and Furia said, bet, we're going to show you. I think that shows 0 presence so far in LTA at all. It did not get played entirely in Split 1.
The second Enchanter all split. Like the first one was a Karma.
Yeah. And on the other side, we're going to see another, another Silas comes out, and lots of good ults to steal. He can steal the Spirit Rush, he can steal the massive CC chain that is either Tatu or Ayu's ult. And then, I mean, who's going to complain about having Equalizer, right? Very different drafts this time. I'm not sure I favor either team just off the draft, though.
Especially if you do build, again, the tankier build, all those Rumble ultimates should be burning pretty nicely when you complete the Leandro installment as well. But I would love to see the kind of squishy Silas over here. You do have a lot of frontline, especially if the Jace will build into the tankier side with the Grasp of the Undying, and if you manage to just one-shot the enemy backline with Enchanted Crystal Arrow, with the Seraphine Ultimate or something like that, I don't think you need all that effective HP. You just need to press your button and make the enemy team go boom.
Yeah, and really, they have got a wombo combo on the blue side there, where you get hit by the you get hit by the Seraphine ult, and then you get hit by the Skarner ult. Meanwhile, Equalizer's just burning you over the top. What do you do about that?
Well, you pray. I guess you pray that you are far enough ahead that it won't matter, that the enemy team will be lacking damage. But we'll see if they even get to this point ever in the game, because it's in their hands, right? Like, Katu, Toots, and Ayu should have the tools to carry with that very, very CC heavy combo. But you're playing into Pain Gaming, and they are so far the kings of LTA South.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I wonder where we're going to see the most action early on, because these lanes are definitely not what we expected. Furia, Jojo bringing out an Enchanter, which, especially with their range, the early CC, they could have a chance to maybe pick off that Corki. Probably not Curry. He's a little mobile to try and take out in the early game. And in the top side, the Jace just offers a lot of options in terms of, the ability to poke an opponent down and control a lane. So we're seeing very different matchups other than the mid lane we've seen today. But otherwise, across the board, things have shifted quite a bit. And with these two teams, I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, especially like the Cork in the bot lane. It's something we haven't seen for quite a long time, at least me, myself. And Chitan is bringing it out of retirement. He's like, okay, it still works. He can still kind of just take the game by storm in the mid game, and that's more or less the Pain style as well, right? You are playing your laning phase, you're getting slight advantage, and then suddenly around the mid game you just snowball the game out of proportion.
Yeah, I do say though it really sacrificed a lot of laning power. As you see, Curry already taking quite a bit of damage from Ayu. Go ahead and blow the heal already. Titan getting poked down. So much laning power. Gets rooted. Sees so low now. But alas, level 1 damage. Not enough to secure that kill. But being able to blow one of the summoner spells, the Ghost is blown on Furia. And Jojo actually also had to spend the heal during that fight. So not a total loss for Pain, despite the health trade not favoring them. But Titan Titan's like a take over the lane guy, and he's playing Corki.
Yeah, it's still a very nice trade for the side of Furia, especially considering that there's no pots for Chidan over there. He has spent it all. He needs to auto-attack to kind of sustain right now with the D-Blade. On the other side, Ayu is chilling. Just popped the pot just to be even healthier. Still has the biscuits in his pocket in case he ever gets the munchies, and that's so much effective HP if he ever gets low. Plus, Jojo will soon hit level 3, and those upgraded heals are quite nice when you're sustaining through the lane.
And the wave just being in a very tough spot. It's not close enough to the tower for Titan to clean up and try and get some last hits before he needs to reset. And so Ayu and Jojo able to just crash this wave for free and no consequences. They're going to be able to get a lot of gold that way and deny a lot of that gold from Titan. Look at the CS discrepancy already.
Yeah, I mean, he had to reset, the wave was crashed, an excellent bottom lane usage, or at least management, that's what I want to say, from the side of Furia so far. But Geico, he's in trouble. He's just dead. He just died.
And there might be another one, as Romer has to use his abduct to shoot back to a minion to get away. That means Toots is probably going to get a free crash here in the mid lane. What happened to Gigo? I looked off. I was looking at chat for a second, and he's gone. And now Weiser going for a second one, but Toots is there to save the day.
No! Oh, he's still gonna die, but Karaoke might be in trouble here. Toots,
he goes there as well. Karaoke is certainly going down, getting bounced around. How is it these two teams that have decided we're going to have a crazy bloody early game for no reason? We saw 1 kill in the first 8 minutes of the last 3 games, and now all of a sudden Fury and Pain are like, no. Let me show you what LTA South is all about.
I mean, welcome to Latin America, baby. This is what I signed up for. A lot of action, a lot of skill check, and let's watch that replay again.
Oh,
Because
thank you,
Geigo,
replay, because I did not see what happened, and yeah, he just goes in and punts him away.
Yep, but then they never reset. They want to play for the grab, but not only for the grab, they get the flash away from Tattoo, and they're like, that's not enough. I want to eat Scorpion meat. And they flash back in. Look at that HP, 1 HP, and the shield comes through. The flash Q doesn't connect from Carioca, and then he doesn't go through the tower. He knows that's death over there, but there's death from the other side as well.
And notably, both of those kills for Furia went into Toots' pocket, and he's just bullying Romer now because he has that fool. Oh my gosh, why can I not remember the name of that component? Rev, help me out. Oh no.
Which one?
The first
belt?
the first component, the book.
The lost chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to find first the last chapter, and then you get through the other chapters. You know, oh, Romer,
So
close.
low, and that advantage because correct me if I'm wrong, that gives quite a bit of mana or mana regen that item doesn't. So Huts can just kind of sit in lane and do whatever. The only real advantage that Pain has on the map at the moment is a significant top lane gold lead. That's not helping them out too much. First Dragon over to Furia.
I mean, yeah, the Ari is in a very, very nice spot, close to 1k ahead. First Dragon goes to Furia, while they're on the blue side as well. The blue side usually has easy access to the grabs and not to the Drake. Now Tattoo wants to play for the grabs as well. Wiser, first to level 6, he might be moving, but doesn't seem too eager so far.
And we finally see the grubs are coming out, and we might see another game where one team is able to pick up all 3 grubs, and they're just gonna go for 2. That's honestly a really smart play. Not overstay your welcome. Getting 2 means you deny Pain in getting the double grubs buff at all, and as well you deny them from getting the vast majority of the gold. You deny them from getting the feat. Just a really solid play. Just come in, take what you can get, and leave it because you know you're already in an advantage.
Okay. By the way, I do have a theory. Have you ever wondered why, when you get the Fit of Strength, you just get upgraded boots? Like, what's the correlation there? And I think that the Fit of Strength are misspelled.
Yeah?
It should be spelled double E because they are the feet.
The feat of strength, of course. It all makes sense now. I just thought that the feat of strength was leg day, and that's why you became so fast.
Oh, the leg day. No, I have not. That's slander on my name by production, but I've never felt strong after a leg day. Honestly, I always felt weak, and I think Geigo also will feel weak right now.
Comes the ultimate out on top of Gigo. He is gone. That has been the story of the split so far for Furia, because the rest of the map, it kind of looks good, looks sometimes a little inconsistent, but Gigo is either God or gone, and he is off to an 0-2 start. So I'll let you guess which one he is, as a feat of strength over to Pain.
Yeah, the first one,
Warfare.
the Fit of Warfare goes for them. Wiser will get 2 plates as well. We'll get an extra wave, making sure, like, he counted the seconds, realized that Gigo has no teleport. So right now, the gold lead in his pocket is 1,300 gold. And we're only 8 minutes into the game, so that's absurd numbers. He should be closing in on that Spear of Sojin.
And luckily for poor Gigo, the rest of the map, those early kills for Toots really equalized that gold deficit in the top side. Furia overall not behind by too much. As you see, the Malignance is already in the hands of Toots, and that's a huge damage increase. You are not seeing the normal tanky Ahri. When the damage Ahri came out, it was Malignance that was putting in a lot of work, because not only does it get those fields that burn once you hit someone with the Spirit Rush procs, but I believe, if my information is correct, if I'm not an insane person, and good CC, but that means Romer going to immediately catch another strike from Tatu, who ultimates him. Toots getting so much damage down. Romer going to escape. A charm comes out onto Karaoke, who's now at half health. Tatu is getting them very low. Really just poor positioning there from Pain. But Romer gonna go in, gets charmed. The electrocute proc comes out, and you are seeing the value of the Malignants. But Romer is unfazed, continues to try and go forward and make something happen. A good quickness comes out. The battle dance comes out. That's a knock up. IU stuck under tower, but ultimately not going to die. The heal comes out. The ghost comes out. And Romer is refusing to feel fear. This man is a maniac.
Yeah, and not even playing with the Doran shield to say, okay, he might be getting some damage down, but he will be healing up. No, he's playing with the ring, making sure he gets as much early game damage as humanly possible, and he still managed to survive. Speaking of survival, Guigo, he is a little bit better. He has the teleport now, should be going into the bot lane, I think, but he'll go by foot, since they want to be playing for the second iteration of the grab spawning in less than 20 seconds time. It's already in the top lane.
And this has been the last 3 games today, has set a precedent that this second grub spawn is really where the game breaks open, where things are going, like, it really sets a precedent. You saw it in the last game, which never really broke open, because Red just controlled all 6 grubs. If there's a fight at these grubs, that's where things start to kind of go insane, go a little crazy, and both teams know that. They're getting positioned early, and Fury is going to start it up.
Yep, they do have the first save there. Carioca is already on the other side of the map. There's only some, fake pressure, some dribbling around by Curry. He's like, oh, we're here, we're going to contest, haha, spend some time, but no, they're not. Simultaneously, Carioca is looking for the angle to play on the Guigo. Guigo, not really afraid of Romer, at least so far. And the lane mismatch has been equalized by both teams, where this arrow, it runs wild.
The Jaded Crystal arrow goes wide, but that's alright if you're Furia. You're not really planning to contest the objective anyways. The equalizer comes out, but it is not Gigo's, it is Romer's, as that'll clear out the wave. And it looks like Pain will at least get a dragon for their troubles, as Weiser is teleporting down. Poor K.
Because there's 2 members on the top side. They are going for the first tower. The next wave is equalized.
There it is. Everyone goes forward, and Gigo again going to be the sacrifice placed upon the altar of Pain Gaming. A 3rd death for the top laner. And okay, you know what? It works out, but they're getting things across the map. They're getting that top lane tower, and so it's not even like it was a nice free play in the bot side. You burned your teleport to make that happen, and you got a kill. But plates are still up, and a whole tower is gone from your top side.
Oh, teleport. It's been spotted. Weiser cannot collect more plates as Guigo is back in the fray, but can't do anything else. So that teleport is being spent. There's a lot more gold going into the Ares and the Skarner's pocket. Let's see if they are able to run the map with it, because they should do that, especially since Romer just completed his first item.
And Jojo kind of just battling some supportal combat there with Curry, both fighting over that tri-brush. Gigo's going to shove the wave into the bot side, picking up a lot of plate gold so far. Furia just slowly growing that lead. They technically are down on kills, but 1,300 gold into their team's pockets. A lot of that is because of Toots, who still has just been the beneficiary of those 2 early kills and has been punishing Romer for it, up about 30 CS so far this game.
I mean, 30 CS, all those plates, he's the beneficiary of those 2 kills as well in the early game, so he's been running the map with those from early on. I'm really impressed by IU so far. Together with Jojo, they've been putting out some pressure onto Chetan and Corey. Chetan is looking still for that first Trinity Force. He's spiking hard on 2 items, but he's still missing the first, since he also opted in for the tier, electing to spike it earlier on. I want to see when and where Pain will be able to play the map with more than their Jace.
And they're going to have to sit here and buy themselves some time, and that does mean they're going to have to pool the decision on something. find a place where they can stand up and fight Furia. It might be here at this mid lane tower as Tatu is going in. The wave is going down, and here comes the Nature's Grasp. It's gonna catch 3 members. All 3 are rooted. Here it comes, but no ability to follow up, and that is a huge ultimate that is down. Luckily, there's no objectives up at the moment to fight him.
Yeah, they just wanted to dissuade the tower taking from the side of Furia. They don't want to let them run away with the game, at least so early on, and they should have all those spells back up for the Herald or the Drake, whatever they choose to fight, while they're still scaling up. Of course, Ayu, Jojo, they never spend anything, so they're looking for the turret, and maybe for something even more if they manage to take the turret early on.
Titan forced to Valkyrie away, burns the cleanse as well. That's a summoner that's so important with all of this layered CC that Furia is able to produce. Having something like a cleanse in your back pocket is quite powerful, but it is now gone as they're going to shove that wave into mid lane, try and rotate down here, get control of this bottom side, anticipation of this dragon in about 90 seconds.
Let's see, once again, Equalizer has been burned, just to burn one more wave. He does sniff all those dive attempts every time that they try to close in on his side. He has died 3 times, but could be way more. He's playing defense the best way he can. Romer on the other side, whenever he sees dudes coming close to him, he has to abandon ship, he has to run back and wait for any wave to be pushed right into him without any pressure, because if he contests, I think this Ari just smacks him down right now.
Yeah, and I actually want to ask you a question. We talked, 2 of these games, we have seen the game kind of break open at that second set of grubs. It hasn't happened. We have a drag up in 40 seconds. We got Shelly coming up in just a few. Where is Pain going to look to fight? Because they need to make a statement somewhere on the map. They got to pick their battles smartly.
Do they need to do it right now? That's my question. But they teleport in. That Jace might be in trouble. Well, no, that's Romer. They want to fight for the next neutral, it seems, as Herald is up and available. Drake will be spawning shortly as well. Whoever gets that next Drake, actually, if Furia takes the next Drake, they get the Feat of Strength. And I'm wondering if Pain cares so much about those that they invested the teleport and a lot of time that they could have had on the side lane to get more money on their carries.
Yeah, they invested that teleport to try and save a mid tower with just no health. If Romer instead had just teleported to the bot side and shoved that wave, they might at least have the cross map going for them. But they teleported mid and then moved him down to bot manually. Looks like they're going to try and trade that Rift Herald for the Dragon, but they're just starting it up. Fury has already finished the Rift Herald. They could look to contest if they want to, but they are instead pushing for that top side.
Yeah, and look where Weiser is right now. He has no way of getting into his own jungle without getting threatened. He has no way of contesting mid wave and top wave, and in the top wave, the Rift Herald has been summoned immediately, so they're looking to get that extra close to 700 gold for themselves. But they're going to be splitting it 3 ways.
Here it comes. That is going to go down. The charm lands.
Ooh.
Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Weiser getting kidnapped. That's going to be all she wrote for Piltover's greatest inventor. But on the other side, the rascally little demon of ego not going to get punished too hard. Toots will teleport down. And it all works out. The little Yordle not punished, and they get a kill in the top side. Furia extending their lead by just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for Furia right now. They are on the verge of snowball. 3.3k gold lead at the 18-minute mark. Their Ari is 2 items strong already before the 20-minute mark. Look, even the Rumble right now, he might be struggling gold-wise, but he's fine because 400 gold is on that tier. That tier means nothing. Even if you complete the Mania Moon, you need to stack it into the mana. And Gigo is already kind of close to the Rift Maker, so he should be fine. He should be dandy. And they're running the map so nicely.
Yeah, they have lots of control. I think something that goes unstated a lot of times is the value you get out of those hawk shots when you pick Ashe up onto your team. You're able to really just scout ahead. They know where Pain is going to be. They have the blue trinket. They have the hawk shot. So they just kind of know where they can and cannot apply a lot of pressure. And you talked about that. Yeah, the 400 gold has been invested is the word into that tier, which does lessen the blow for poor Gigo. But even if Gigo never catches up and never really, becomes a carry on his team, he's been absorbing a lot of pressure this entire game. A lot of the reasons Furia has been able to pick up the wins they have across the map is because Pain were busy just bullying Gigo like it's grade school.
Yep, and they've been busy grading as well. Let's not forget that Pain started the game in an excellent fashion at topside, and it was their grade that actually consumed them. Wiser and Carioca flashing in, donated 2 early kills onto Toots. He managed to collect the Malignants 8 minutes in. He's been way more impactful on the map than Wiser was with that early Spear of Sojin. I think he's gonna keep doing it. He has a team full to the brim with crowd control, like Seraphine, Ash, Skarner, and any one of those can set him up for the charm, can set him up for the burst, and if they get going, the R with the resets can hurt so much.
You see the Otacon is on the map. That means 5 minutes till a Baron gets here to become the next big fight, I presume. Pain does have 2 dragons. They're not entirely without their wins across the map. It just really feels like Furia have a lot of control over how the game is played at the moment. They are just able to push forward with impunity.
Yep, we'll see if they're going to be waiting out for the Baron, if they are slowly yet surely pushing their vision line, which it is what they're doing. And we see that Pain has almost no vision. If that ward is being dealt with in the next couple of minutes by Toots or by Tattoo, they will have to face check further and further in, and every time they are in trouble because Jojo is looking for those beat drops. He found Carioca, but he's quite deep.
Yeah, they're just... Look how much space Furia have in Pain's jungle. This is Pain's side of the map. This should be their house. And Furia are able to just push forward and get the vision they want. And again, they just kind of always know where the entirety of Pain is and are able to make decisions across the map. Look who's quietly still split pushing. Goes shoving in another wave in the bot side. And it's not much right now, but give it a wave or two, and Pain's going to have to send someone to answer that.
Yeah, but who? Who can answer it? I think only Wiser, but Wiser is also needed there to kind of face check with his accelerated shock blast. And every time that you are calling Wiser in and you're not spending the teleport because you don't want to be threatened with an early Atakan or early Baron, you will be slightly losing in terms of CS, in terms of XP, in terms of gold. And all those slight leads matter so much for Furia, who do get themselves further and further ahead.
Atu rushing forward, maybe to see if he can catch someone out. As that accelerated shock blast does do good damage. You see it hit Jojo and Tatu there. Again, the dragon's coming up soon, and look who's first to the neutral. Look who is already in position, set up and control the space. Furia is playing such an immaculate game from a macro perspective. They are always in the right spot.
Yeah. Let's see.
The Nature's Grasp. It's able to get 2 roots. Here he comes. Karaoke is in there, but he gets grabbed, thrown into the wall. The Equalizer is down, and the fight is all over the place. They're able to get the first kill. Jojo is down, but they spent too much resources trying to take out a poor Enchanter. And now Pain is on the back foot, on the run. Here comes Tatu. Look at that damage into Titan. Wiser getting slowly burned to death. Ayu picks up a kill. Tatu going in, trying to pick up Titan. He can't get him, but Gigo does, and Gigo's on the board now, and it is a very, very commanding fight from Furia.
You might be getting a kill, but you'll be getting nothing more, is what Furia told them. And right now, they control the whole game. Ace for them. They don't even look at the Drake. They just turn tail and go into the Atakan area to start collecting more and more big buffs.
Yeah, and this is a really, really well-fought fight here. They step forward, eat up a lot of that CC using Tatu, who knows he can take it, and then bam, immediately pull Karaoke off. And yeah, Roamer's on the flank. He's able to get the damage, and they're able to kill Jojo, but at what cost? Look at Roamer's health after the flank. Look at Titan. Look where he is. Wiser has no help, and it went south so fast for Pain. Yeah. As another fight comes, we get out of the replay immediately into the action. Here comes an Equalizer over the top. Pain gets some good damage in, but it is Jojo who secures the Otacon, and now there's nothing stopping stopping Furia from rushing forward. 2 kills for Gigo. From Geek On to Geek God. He is back in this one. And look who is taking over. But Toots 4-0-7. Furia look unstoppable with an 8,000 gold lead.
Yeah, they legit told him it's Jover for you and your winning streak as they secure the Atakan even if they die. Jokes, they did not die and they collect 3 more kills. So much gold in their favor. The gold lead expands to over 8,000 gold, and Furia, they do not feel pain.
It's looking a little rough as we came out of the replay directly into this fight. A good Nature's Grasp over the top, but the Equalizer answers.
Yeah, and you don't seem to have the damage. Like, it looked so close, but Jojo, with the redemption, with his W, he heals for so much, so your effective HP is so much higher. Dude, he could go further. He could look for a 1-for-1 over there. Ends up keeping the Voracious Atakan buff up. Look at those happy faces. They do feel themselves today.
And Furia, who have been described as maybe they're scrim merchants. Everyone says they're so good in scrims. We talked about how good their underlying numbers are. They're really translating it onto the Rift here against what we just talked about is the best team on the entirety of the region right now.
Yeah, at least on paper, but it seems that paper lies. Sure, they're made of fire. The Baron is at 6k and they're doing it slowly. They're trying to bait Pain in, and Curry, he's looking for the flank. He's unseen right now.
Comes Tatu, he's leading the charge. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow will go wide, but the Equalizer is in a great position to split the fight. Weiser and Titan just have to stand and watch as their teammates get picked off. The Encore lands. They're too far away, though, but Tuts says no. Continues to push forward to try and find another one. They only took out Roamer, but that's gonna be enough as they're gonna go back into the Baron, and now if Pain try to aggress again, they've only got 4 members to do so.
Yeah, let's see if they manage to do it. Carioca, no flash, but still has a smite, still can WQ smite. That Q smite is one of the best in the game. Good tries to create some space for his team. He goes into Carioca. Carioca needs to run.
Karaoke comes, he's trying to find the steal, but Furia very smartly do not knock the Baron low enough for a smite steal to even be possible. Now Titan's going in, they're trying to find something, but there's nothing doing, and Tatu's going to secure the Baron for free. Curry's now the next to fall, a double kill for Ayu. Ayu moving forward, can he show Titan who the better ADC is? He's going to get caught by Tatu. Tatu picks up the heart steal proc. And now Gigo trying to find Weiser, getting his revenge for the early game. Weiser going to try and hit the blast cone to get out, buys himself a little extra distance, hits the acceleration gate. But look who's on the flank. Here comes Toots. Roamer unable to help his teammate. A great charm. Roamer's going in, but that's just going to be 300 more gold to the opponents. Here comes another ultimate. The Equalizer laid over top. Does not matter. It is another ace. This time 5-4-0.
And they're also getting the mid lane tier 2 with the first push from the Baron. 2 more minutes to play with now that they reset. And we're going to be seeing a very, very elongated fight as they do bait Pain time and time again. Roamer gets the Skarner ultimate, but that doesn't help at this point. Curry needs to turn tail, and then they realize, hey, we're healthy enough. Let's go start the Baron once again, playing it slowly, playing into Carioca. And when they find the angle, when they feel that Carioca has finally overstepped, they just turn onto him, they get the kill, they get the Baron, and the rest is history as Furia. They're ready to go 2-1.
And look at them! And you know what? Why not? They are getting excited, pointing across the stage to Titan. I have to imagine, because that's like the king of like CB little LTA pop-offs on the stage, the guy who's gonna get up and point at you and yell. That's Titan. And what? He can't do anything back because it is Furia who've had their number all day. They find and engage, maybe on to Toots, but it doesn't matter. A great Skarner ultimate. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It goes wide, but Weiser's next to fall. Boom, here comes another one. Karaoke is down. It's another huge play for Furia. 20-5 is the kill score. At one point, the kill score, I will remind the chatters, was 2-4. We were talking about how Pain technically have a kill lead, but like Furia's doing fine. And it doesn't matter. Game is over now. They cannot stop Furia, who just controlled the game start to finish. Pain humbled a bit as they will fall to 2-1, and Furia maybe prove they know how to ball.
Yeah, they do indeed know how to bowl, and who would have guessed that by the end of Game 3, the only team refusing to lose would be Vivo, Kid, Star, Spain Gaming, Leviathan. They both meet their match as Furia and Flaxo W7M are playing some excellent games today, and they spread havoc all across the standings.
Yeah, speaking of the standings, things have really shook out, and not in the way we expected them to. We talked about BKS being our top team, but now IE and Loud battling for that bottom spot, as we will have them on stage here. 7th place is not where we expected our top team from Split 1 to be, and our 3rd best team from Split 1. Those were both teams that participated in international competition last split. They are now both 0-3. There it is, you can see them overlaid. Just as a bit of a reminder, there's last split. There they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of those teams lost today.
Oops, I want to say, but yeah, it's Split 2 is a completely different beast, it seems. I really like the fact that we have 6 teams in maximum of the 2nd place. 5 teams that are 1st and 2nd place right now. Yeah, 5 teams, 2 and 1. 1 team, 1 and 2, and then 2 teams completely ignoring the victory screen in this split. It's gonna be a wild ride, I think.
Yeah, and we have 4 more games tomorrow that will sort that out a little bit further. And I wonder if VKS, how much longer can they go unbeaten? Or is the chaos that has been LTA South today finally the chaos we have asked for? Yeah. Is it going to catch up to them, and we're going to have no unbeaten teams after 2 weeks? It's a lot to look forward to, because we have another 4 games tomorrow, and they should be just as exciting as today. The matchups this weekend have been so good.
Yeah, I mean, if we learn something, is that thinking that the result is done before the game is played in LTA South is a fool's game, and we're no fools anymore. We might have Jester's privilege, but we're no fools.
Our eyes have been opened. If you guys don't want to miss those games, make sure you follow us on Twitter or Blue Sky. I think we have both of those running now. We have a community Discord that you guys can join, and if you follow here, we're live every weekend when the LTA South goes up. And do you want to miss games like that? Do you want to have to say you weren't there when Fluxu W7M bested IE on the Rift? I wouldn't want to be the guy that missed that. So, you drop a follow.
Yeah, for sure. I think that even in the slow games, the content is fast and you don't want to miss it. So, I don't know. See you next time. I need some time to rest before the next games. My heart is pumping right now.
Yeah, I think that means, Rev, that's all from the 2 of us today. We're going to have to take our leave and give it over to the next set of casters tomorrow. So in the meantime, I just want to thank everyone for being here. LTA South is an entirely, entirely volunteer run. So, we are doing this because we love the region and we love the game. And so your support means a hell of a lot to us. So I think I'm going to sign off for the day. I'm going to go get some lozenges. I'm going to go ahead and take a hot shower and calm down. And we will see you back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.